This secret conclave of America's media empires, we're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they belong. I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
Yeah. A new disease. No one's immune.
This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
So you ain't know we in the last days? Tryna tell me you ain't see the signs? Look at them chemtrails in the air. And plus they poisoning our food supply. And that's why I got a whole coalition. Unity, survival, I ain't talking Darwinism. This a war, best believe it's on the rise. COVID-19 fake, yeah, let's open eyes. So pick a side, stop living in the matrix. What pill you taking? What deal you making? I know that blue pill looks appealing, but it's Satan. Yeah, it's Satan. The red pill is to the truth. So join the cause. They wrote it all in stone, but you didn't read the clause. Then they try to tell you that it's all a conspiracy, and that prevents the masses when I speak the truth from hearing me. Georgia Guidestones, Agenda 21, 5G, vaccines, AI, nanotechnology, GMO foods, water fluoridation, systematic racism, pagan observation, Planned Parenthood, outer space in that globe model, big pharma, LGBTQ role model. It's an agenda, we trapped up in this cage. We all playing parts, this whole world's a stage.
There appears to be a widespread panic all over the city, and most communities are left without telephones, power, or water. There appears to have been some sort of unknown attack. As you can see behind me, the buildings are destroyed and people are left to fend for themselves. We encourage you to stay at home and lock your doors until the situation is contained.
I know I can't make it by myself. I rock with a whole coalition. You know we all about the unity in time, so survival is the mission. While everybody sleep, we in the scriptures grinding, ain't never giving up. That's why we put the time in, like-minded individuals who know about the truth. We ride together, die together, riding with the proof. Gold bags in the trunk, rifle in the lap, buckets full of ammo, well water, no tap. Crops in the field, cattle in the stable, crypto in the wallet, hot food on the table. Set apart swagger, yeah, we keep it holy. Times of the essence, ain't talking about a rollie. Heads on the swivel, always on alert. Mistakes that get you killed, got them sweating through their shirt. Amazing what you have when you working as a team. Everybody as a unit, salvation is the dream. An open palm is weak and a slap can only sting. So we gotta be ready for what this tribulation brings. Fingers can be broken, alone and you stranded, but fall into a fist, you can really do some damage. Everybody's safe, we gon' stick together, cause you and us a family, we gon' make it through the pressure.
Here it is, the famous Georgia Guidestones. Maintain humanity under 500 million. So, how many people we gotta kill?
We gotta kill a lot of people.
They want to kill plenty of people.
You and us, we already know what's going on in this world. And if you don't know, you better look behind the curtain. But guess what? We ready for it.
Yeah. AOE, I high over everything. You see this walk? It's not easy. But if you follow the Most High, you'll get through it. Yeah, I'ma catch a body. Yeah, I'ma catch a body. Demons on my left, and they be trying to stop me, but I do it for the body. Yeah, I'ma catch a body. Since I got just one life, know that I'ma live it. If you ask for the truth, know that I'ma give it. Eyes blurry from the sin, but my vision getting vivid. But you disrespect my king, know that my spirit getting livid. I've been wicked for too long, heart disfigured like a mall face. Thoughts trapped inside my head, can't stand it like a crawl space. Let's get one thing straight, I need y'all to understand. Ain't no need to draw a line like Christ, I'ma write it in the sand. I used to wanna be the best, and now all I want is glory, sweat and blood up on the mic. And man, whenever they record me, you can be a dope rapper in the world, and your flow nice, you the GOAT, I cut your throat. And then I make a sacrifice, exposing all this sin and destroying their idolatry. I'm all about that prophecy, and ain't nobody stopping me. And since I got his word, I'ma share it, no apology. Lyrical surgeon giving false doctrine, a lobotomy. yeah, I'ma catch a body. Yeah, I'ma catch a body. Demons on my right, and they be trying to stop me, but I do it for the body. Yeah, I'ma catch a body. If you got ears to hear, know you gonna hear it. If you scared of the truth, know you gonna fear it. Lies all over the place, better get yourself in here. But you disrespect your shot, my set apart gon' disappear. I've been quiet for too long, I was lost up in religion. The Most High gave me a choice, I had to make the right decision. Let's keep it a pen, I don't need your recognition. Ain't no need to give me props, cause it's the Father's exhibition. Used to wanna be a brew, now all I wanna be is holy. Not worried about a trap, cause that I block you like a goalie. You can be a camp brew, and the truth with your fringes. You a snake, your doctrine faking scripture got you flinching. Yeah, just follow the law and obey all his commandments. I'm rocking with his statutes, yep, just like he commanded. And since I got his love, I'ma share it like a prophecy. Lyrical polygraph, I'm exposing they dishonesty. Yeah, I caught a body. Yeah, I caught a body. Demons all around, but they can never stop me, cause I do it for the body. Yeah, I'm here to catch a body. Yeah, catch a body. Hey, catch a body. Hey, man, all praises to the Most High. I'ma catch a body.
I can make it. Let's go. One more jump. Made it. Oh.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Shabbat Shalom. It's your boy Solid Prophet here. We're going to have Professor S come on here shortly when you get here. This is Shabbat Talk. So first and foremost, before we get started, got to give all praise and honor to the Most High. And I wanted to start tonight with a prayer for my aunt. She just, got some bad news. Definitely want to send some prayers her way, send some encouragement her way. My cousin let me know before we got on here, so definitely want to let them know that, that they're within our prayers, and that that they got us in the corner, that everything will be okay. We got a whole body ready and willing to throw up these prayers and to speak healing, right? Speak healing. But we definitely wanted to start with that. We can definitely get into some of the shout outs. So more people will be coming in, I'm sure of it, but I'll start shouting out the people that's already here. Shabbat Shalom to my beautiful wife, Ebony. Glad she here. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Aaliyah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Sister Andy.
Shabbat Shalom. Just a question. What is your aunt's name?
Gwen.
Wendy?
Gwen.
Gwen. Okay. All right. So I'll say a prayer for her. Okay.
Toda. All right. We got a Manny and a Kari in the building. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, family.
Hope everybody doing good. Hope everybody doing well. So we'll get started, and then when Professor S get here, then we'll keep it moving. But this week's Torah portion was Exodus chapter 25, verse 1, all the way to chapter 27, verse 19. 1 Kings chapter 5, verse 26 to chapter 6, verse 13. Matthew chapter 5, verses 33 through 37, and 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 1 through 15. And let me get the Parsha in 60-second video real quick.
Shalom
and welcome to Parsha in 60 seconds. Oh, one second.
seconds. Today's portion is from Exodus 25:1 through 27:19. It is called Truma, which means gift or offering. It was time to build the tabernacle. The Israelites gave God many gifts for this project. The Ark of the Covenant was crafted with acacia wood and overlaid with gold. The tablets were placed inside. 2 cherubim of gold were placed on the ark's cover, or mercy seat. God promised to speak the commandments to Moses from between the 2 cherubim above the cover of the ark. A gold table was made with a crown for displaying bread. 1 6-branched and 7-lamped stand of pure gold was crafted. The tabernacle was crafted with 10 stripes of fine twisted linen of blue, purple, and crimson yarns, with a design of cherubim worked into them. 11 cloths of goat's hair made a tent over the tabernacle. Planks, curtains for the Holy of Holies, an altar, and other enclosures were crafted for the tabernacle. God instructed every little detail down to the last thread of everything. And that is Truma in 60 seconds.
All right. So that was Parsha in 60 seconds. Anybody would like to share from this week's Torah reading?
In Kings, not in Kings, when I read that Solomon, that when he built the temple, that they didn't use any kind of a instrument, because I think that they said the instrument represented like war, like iron. So everything that they did, no instrument was used at all. Nothing of iron was used to build it. So that was amazing that they could do that they could build a whole temple and none of it they use any kind of iron, because iron tools is representative of war. So they just built it without, and I thought that was amazing.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for sharing that. It's so crazy how detailed it gets down to. Like, he instructs us how to build the tabernacle, and then later he instructs Solomon how to build the temple, and it's so detailed, like down to the littlest detail. I found that very, very interesting.
He doesn't leave anything to chance. He's a God of order, so everything is in order.
Yep. Yes,
amazing.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Anybody else?
So I also wanted to talk about Exodus 25 and how he was like, of every man that give it willingly with his heart, ye shall take my offering. So it was just like, oh, I'm not just going to give for doing this, for bringing me a gift. I'm not just going to give the person who I gave the instructions to, but every person who build this for me, I will also give unto you also. And I just thought that was very like considering of him. It wasn't like, you know how like today's world, the person who let's say the buyers building a construction company, they're just not giving the person who they gave the instructions to all of the money, as like today. Like he was just like, no, anybody who's building this within their heart, you will be awarded to. So it just shows who the Most High is, and how he is, and the generous heart that he has also. So I just wanted to point that out.
Absolutely. Shabbat Shalom, Professor S.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
What you get from the Torah portion?
Well, like the details and everything, talking about the cherubim and just all the fine details there. There's a specific reason for each of the details that's that is given, and we could probably never know all of the intricate details that are there and what their specific purpose is, but there's so many trying to think off the top of my head.
Yeah, I said the same thing. It was the great detail in which he went into everything. Just he left no stone unturned. When he was explaining the building of the tabernacle, and then later on when he was talking to Solomon about the building of the temple itself. I found that really remarkable. Another thing that I found interesting, and I actually went back and did some more highlighting and underlining in Matthew, because we covered Matthew 5:33-37 a lot, and this makes me want to come back to the topic for another Shabbat talk. But because we started it, me and Professor S, we did a few different shows about how it appears that the Messiah is contradicting the law, but when you actually look into it, he's not contradicting the law at all. But a lot of times you see in chapter 5, especially from verses 21 all the way through the end of the chapter, he says over and over again, you have heard it said, right? You have heard it said XYZ, but I say this is how you're supposed to do it. And when you first hear it, you think what he's saying is a contradiction to what was written. But when you look into it, it's not. Like, we were supposed to read 33-37. He says, verse 33 says, again, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old time, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Most High thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is the Most High's throne, nor by earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Neither shalt thou swear by the head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black, but let your communication be yea, yea, nay, and nay. For whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. And then again in verse 38, even though we didn't have to read it, but verse 38, he says again, you have heard it said. So I love going back, and I really want to like tackle more of these, you have heard it said XYZ, because, you know, when you actually get into the nitty gritty of it, you realize that the Messiah wasn't doing away with the Torah like people think he was. He was doing exactly what he said that he came to do, which was in verse 17, right? Think not that I came to destroy the law of the prophets, for I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. And that word fulfill, we've covered it time and time again on the show. Fulfill don't mean to complete and do away with. Fulfill means to teach the Torah as it was supposed to be taught from the beginning. So he came down to show us how to properly keep the Torah. So that's what kind of stood out to me on the New Testament portion of it. And like I said, the Old Testament portion was just a great detail about the tabernacle being built. Anybody else?
Something to note on that, as far as the oaths and everything, and let your yes be yes and your no be no. Something to note on that is, you know, they had a custom that, if you swear by this, then you don't have to actually keep your word, right? If you swear by this, you don't have to actually keep your word. But if you swear by the name of the Most High, then you do have to keep it, right? But what Messiah was trying to show was that if we are part of the congregation, then we're acting on earth as like his proxy, right? And so anything we say automatically is as if we swore it by his name, right? Because so like I believe it's in Ezekiel, where it talks about sealing them on their foreheads, those who are not doing these abominable things, right? So if you're walking in the Torah, you're trying to do his commandments, you're professing to be a believer, then automatically by implication, anything you say already, it's as if you were saying it by his name anyway. So your yes should be yes and your no should be no automatically. It shouldn't matter if you make an oath or vow a vow or swear by his name or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I wanted to I wanted to ask if you could run through First Corinthians 9, just a little bit,
First,
like talk. Yeah.
1 Corinthians 9.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of run through it, discuss it a little bit. 1 through 15. Like sum it up.
Alrighty. 1 Corinthians 1 through 15. So it says, am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Have I not seen the Messiah? Are not ye my work in the Most High? If I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I am to you, for the seal of mine apostleship are ye in the Most High. Mine answer to them that do examine me is this. All right, so here's my first thing. Like the first part, he's starting off, right? And he's talking to them. And he's saying, is he not an apostle? Right? Is he not is he not a representative of Messiah? And then the people who he's speaking with, he's telling them that they're his work. So all of his work, his ministry that he's been doing so far up until that point. Then he says, if I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I am to you, for the seal of mine apostleship are you, right? Are ye in the Most High. So he's reaffirming like his ministry, they're a representative, they're a product of his ministry. He's been pouring into them, he's been teaching them. But then he speaks, he says, mine answer to them that examine me is this. Paul constantly was scrutinized, just like he's scrutinized today, right? We scrutinize him for the same reasons back then, except here it's like, is Paul for the law or is Paul against the law, right? But the argument is still the same, except back then, the people that thought he was teaching against the law probably wanted to get him ex-nate, right? Get him killed. And so he's addressing, he says, my answer to them that do examine me is this. He says, have we not power to eat and to drink? Have we not power to lead about a sister, a wife, as well as other apostles? And as the brethren of the Most High and Cephas, or I only and Barnabas, have not we power to forbear working? Who goeth a warfare any time at his own charges? Who planteth the vineyard and eateth not of the fruit thereof? Or who feedeth a flock and eateth not of the milk of the flock? Say I these things as a man, or saith not the law the same also? For it is written in the law of Moses, thou shalt not muzzle the mouth of an ox that treadeth out the corn. Doth the Most High take care for oxen? Or saith he it altogether for our sakes? For our sakes, no doubt this is written, that he that ploweth should plow in hope, and that he that thresheth in hope should be partaker of his hope. If we have shown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things? If others be partakers of this power over you, are not we rather, nevertheless, we have not used this power, but suffer all things, lest we should hinder the gospel of the Messiah? Do ye not know that they which minister about holy things live of the things of the temple, and they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar? Even so, and he sums it up really in these last two verses. He says, even so hath the Most High ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. But I have used none of these things, neither have I written these things, that it should be so done unto me. For it were better for me to die than that any man should make my, it says, glorifying void or esteem void. So he's saying nothing that he's doing is for him, right? All of his ministry, everything that he's doing, all of the Gentiles that are being converted, all of the people who are being, preached the gospel to, everything that he's doing, all the apostles that he's creating and the churches that he's building in different areas. He's saying all of that is a reflection of Messiah. It's a part of the ministry, it has nothing to do with him. And so, because a lot of people thought that Paul was like kind of like arrogant, teaching against things and trying to sway people away from what the traditions of the elders were, what the traditions of the scribes and Pharisees were established at that time. Paul has to constantly fight 3 different battles. So he's fighting the first battle with the people who are constantly against him in his ministry, right? They're saying he's teaching against the law and all of these stuff. Then he's fighting a battle against the people that who is on his side, right? But they're falling, either they're falling short or they're not like following through with the ministry, right? When he, like, for example, when Peter knew for sure that that salvation was of the Gentiles as well, right? He was a part of that whole grafting in process. And so when the Gentiles was around, he was cool, he was kicking it with them. But then when the Jews came around, he would distance himself from the Gentiles. And Paul had to check them, right? So Paul was dealing with stuff like that as well. And then Paul was also dealing with the Gentiles. I preaching the gospel to you. You guys are believing, you are fired up. And as soon as I leave, y'all got all kind of issues. So now I got to come back, or I got to write you a letter to re-encourage you. He's like, how, I just left y'all and y'all already back to, falling into idolatry, falling into eating unclean foods and all of these types of things. So Paul was like really busy trying to fight off on 3 different fronts, and it was exhausting. I can't imagine what he was going through, but he's often having to speak for himself a lot of times, especially in the book of Acts, to where if the reputation about him is he's doing one thing, Paul has to speak up for himself and says that he's actually doing another thing. Or if, his followers or his congregations are thinking like, all right, well, what about this? Paul's like, hold on, let me speak for myself. Like, you guys are a reflection of me. And if I'm preaching about the gospel, the message and the point and the goal of everything is the gospel. It has nothing to do with me. Like, for example, a pastor in a church, the importance and the emphasis should be placed on the message. It should be placed on the word, not the pastor himself. You see, you've got certain churches, they like put the pastor on an idol and they do so many things to like edify the pastor. And it's not really supposed to be, because that's when it starts becoming about something other than the message, right? But Professor S, you got anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you broke that down pretty good. Yeah, pretty much everything you said. Yeah.
All praises. All right. Well, go ahead and talk about next week's Torah portion. We got Exodus chapter 27, verse 20 through Exodus chapter 30, verse 10, Ezekiel chapter 43, verse 10 through 17, and Hebrews chapter 13, verses 10 through 17. I'll leave it up for a little minute for you guys to go ahead and write it down, take a screenshot, picture, whatever you need to do. While y'all doing that, give a couple quick shout outs. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Jasmine. When we first started, I definitely opened it up for Auntie Gwen. So we're gonna be praying for her and sending prayers for her for healing. Already let everybody know. And then well, somebody else came in here. Shabbat Shalom to the Y team. Faith over fear. Shabbat Shalom, everybody over there. I see Brother Sims back there. Sister Kaya adjusting the camera. Sister Marquita probably over there. I see who that? Sister Kaylee? Yeah, Sister Kaylee. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Salakia if I miss somebody. And then again, Shabbat Shalom to my co-host, Professor S, my A1 Day One. And then a big shout out to my wife, man. She sent me a video about 3 weeks ago, maybe. Might have been a little longer than that, but she sent me a video, and a lot of times she'll send me like these videos that'll talk about deep topics, and she likes to hear like what my thoughts and perspectives are on them. And a lot of times they spark a conversation between me and her, and we had these deep conversations. But this particular video, when I started to watch it, I started off kind of in the back of my mind, kind of like what's this? Like, what is this dude about to say? Because certain members of Christian congregations, I'm a little wavery on. I'm kind of like skeptical. And when I start hearing like the pastor voice and different isms like that, I be on guard a little bit, right? And then so he starts to talk, and he's speaking about the party, but he's using very basic examples. And you know, like when you in the church and the pastor say something basic, but he puts a little oomph behind it and everybody go crazy. That's kind of like what was happening in the video. And so initially I was kind of shut off from what the message was because I was in my defensive mode, right? But then as he kept talking, I started to open up, and I felt the Ruach kind of like bring my guard down on purpose. Like the Most High was like, no, you need to hear what's being said. Like, let go of all that extra stuff, chew the meat, spit out the bones, and listen. So then I started the video over. I only got about halfway through the video, and I started it over. And as I started it over, I was like, I'm going to just shut up, and I'm just here. I'm just listening. And as I listened, I was able to hear and really receive what this brother was saying. I can look past all of the talking, the inflections in the voice and the pastor voice and all of that. I was able to get past that and listen to the video, and the message was so powerful, so powerful. I was like, I got to share this with everybody for a Shabbat talk. I didn't know which week we would do it or how we would do it, but I was like, this definitely needs to be shared, because if it impacted me and it impacted my wife, then I know it's going to probably impact each and every one of you, or you guys that are watching at home. And so I was just like, how can something be so spot on with my personal walk, right? And I'm pretty sure you're going to feel the same way when we watch this video. But I was like, all right. And then I prayed this morning on how to go over the video, because I didn't want to just play a video and then cut the video. I wanted it to be interactive. I wanted us to be able to share, to be able to, truly like fellowship, because once you let your guard down, you allow yourself to be vulnerable, that's when, breakthroughs can happen, right? And that's when miracles can happen. So I sent this to everybody. It looked different for everybody that I sent it to, because I sent it as a Word document for you guys to fill in your own answers, right? And there was a point behind it all, because I want you guys to answer these questions before watching the video. And then after we watch the video, I want to discuss with you guys. I want to dialogue with you guys. And based on that, discussion and dialogue, then we can go back to the questionnaire and answer the final 2 questions at the bottom. Because in the instructions that I sent, I said answer questions 1 through 9 and leave the last 2, and we'll go over the last 2, right? And I want to hear your answers, not just because I'm trying to be nosy or anything like that, but I want to truly know, like, if this video impacted you in a profound way, like it did me, right? Me and my wife ain't even go into that greater detail. We did have a conversation about the video, right? But I looked at it from a business perspective and slightly a personal perspective. But the more I watch the video over and over again, I look at it from like a overarching general perspective, encompassing everything: business, personal, spiritual, emotional, which is why the questions are like just structured the way that they are. So, like number 1, it says, are you satisfied with where you are currently in life? 2, what are some things you would like to change? Number 3, what are some areas you believe you can improve? Number 4, what is your biggest obstacle in regard to your personal growth. Number 5, your financial growth. Number 6, your emotional growth. Number 7, your spiritual growth. Right? Say the best for last. And then number 8, it says, what are some things you are doing well in regards to your walk with the Most High? See, a lot of times when people try to, speak a word or, spread a message, they try to, make you look and reflect on your situation in a negative light. And that's okay to do it. That's, sometimes that's what motivates people. But you also want to understand the things that you're doing well, because it's not all wrong. It's not all bad. We all have good and bad in us, right? We all are doing certain things the right way. We all are doing certain things the wrong way. And we could do them a little bit better. So that was the point behind that question. And then number 9, it says, if there was a solution to your problems available right now, would you take it? Right. And that's where we stop. And then we'll get to the reflection questions after. But just, I'm going to leave this up for a second, kind of look over. If you happen to join us last minute and you did not fill these questions out, go ahead, take the time to do it now. If you need the actual link, just let me know and I'll get it sent to you, or I'll have somebody on the panel send it to you where you can fill it out. It's a Word document, so you can type it right into that. But I think it's going to be important for everybody to be honest and be transparent and a little bit vulnerable, right? People don't like sharing their business or whatever personal that they got going on. But like I said in the message that I sent out to everybody, we all family, right? We family. We love each other. We want to see nothing but the best for each other. We want to encourage each other. And so I think this is going to be a really good tool and a really good exercise for us to be able to come together closer as a family, but be able to reflect on our own lives, our own shortcomings, and take that next step. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this video.
You're gonna get mad at me for saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Man, y'all check this out.
One thing I want to talk about, and we can just talk. Let's go. But one thing that hit me was that anytime, I'm going to say it exactly how, in order to come up or move forward, they both require some type of departure. Ooh. Yep. If I was to literally stand up in this chair, I would have to leave the chair. Right. If I was to move forward and go towards my grass, I would have to leave this space. And I think a challenge for people moving forward is the thing they got to leave to do it. That's real. It's the departure. There has to be an abandonment in forward movement of some sort. And if what's forward is not worth your departure, you're going to wait till it is. So that's where procrastination come in at. You got to wait till it's not worth your departure. You're going to wait till it is. So that's where procrastination come in at. You got to wait till what's next is worth you leaving. Okay, got it. But if you ain't got a whole lot of information on what's next, you understand what I'm saying? Then that faith going to have to kick in. That faith going to have to kick in. I remember, because sometimes, y'all, I'm hearing so many sermons right now. I'm hearing, as we go. As we go. The 10 lepers, Jesus said, go show yourselves to the priests. They were not healed yet, but the Bible says, as they went, right, they were healed. Sometimes your blessing is in the steps. You're not blessed first and then you move. Sometimes the blessing is in the movement. Sometimes your blessing is in your departure. Sometimes the blessings is in you leaving. Yeah. So when they left that place and as they went, they were healed every step of the way. And I'm like, whoa. Sometimes blessings are not activated until you leave.
Just like he said, sometimes the blessing is not activated until you leave. Some of us got to leave so that the blessing can then be activated in our lives. The very thing I thought about, I mean, I love how you thought about the 10 lepers, but then What hit me was Genesis chapter 12. Genesis chapter 12, when God told Abraham, he said, listen, get out of your country, leave your kinfolk, leave everything that you're familiar with. Go to a country that I'm going to tell you to go. Just leave. Just leave. He said, listen, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to make your name great. Those that bless you, I'm going to bless them. Those that curse you, I'm going to curse them. And then the Bible says, and Abraham, what? Departed. He did exactly what God said do. Leave. And in his leaving, the blessing was activated. The blessing came upon his life. Had he stayed and said, well, nah, Lord, you know what I'm saying? I like where I'm at. I like my city. I like my people. The blessing wouldn't have came. And it would have been years and years and years, and he would have been struggling and struggling and struggling and wondering why it ain't working, why this ain't happening, why this ain't happening. And God would have reminded him, listen, because I told you 20 years ago to leave. And you failed to do it. Hallelujah. But thank God he left. Some of you need to leave. There are situations, circumstances, churches, religions. You need to leave. You need to leave relationships. You need to leave cities and states. You need to leave. You need to leave those toxic situations. You need to leave so that the blessing of God can be activated in your life. Some of you are sitting on jobs that God done told you to leave years ago, but you're afraid to leave. Hallelujah. That's why he said that's when faith got to be activated. We walk by faith and not by sight. We walk by faith and not by sight. You hear from God, and if God say go, you go. You go. And just like Abraham, the blessing is waiting for you. The blessing is, listen, he told the prophet Elijah, he said, get up, go to the city. I have already commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. I've already commanded a widow woman to bless you. Now go. Leave where you're at and go. And Elijah left. And Elijah came and walked right into the blessing. Child of God, don't be afraid to depart. I love that. Don't be afraid to depart. Don't be afraid to get up and go. To get up and go. It's your time. It's your time. You hear from the Holy Ghost and let him lead and guide you. You take what Ty said, you take what I said, but then you take it to the Holy Ghost and say, what are you saying? And you let him be the final authority. And if he says go, then you leave. Amen. God bless you. I love you. Do good. Be good. Why? Well, because God made you good. And if this message was a blessing to you, hit the follow button, hit the share button.
All right. I seen some of y'all faces. Y'all don't know that I was looking, but I was looking. I seen some of y'all faces during that video. Look, I know. It hit me the same way. It hit me the same way. And I know a lot of y'all are looking at the questions and your answers on the paper, and how it's starting to make sense, right? It's starting to make sense. Asking you where you at in your life. Are you satisfied with where you currently at? What's some of your obstacles? What are some of the things that you're trying to overcome, right? Because a lot of the things, that's why at the end it asks you, if you had a solution available to you right now, would you take it? Because the solution to a lot of our issues, I ain't gonna say every one of our issues, but a lot of our issues is that we're scared to depart. We're scared to leave our current situation to go to where the Most High wants us, right? The departure, that activating in our faith, right? That's why the title for this is just continuing Professors S series, right? I called him before. I said, man, listen, the title of this got to be the next chapter in the series that you've already been doing, because it's already in alignment. We have to lean on faith. Like, I love what Ty said. He said, if you don't have information on the next destination, the next location, your fear keeps you here. You don't want to leave. You don't know what's going on. We want all the information first, and then we feel like we can take that step. But again, we've been talking about faith a lot over the past few months, right? And faith is taking that step even when you don't know where the next step's going to lead you. But having faith in the Most High, that He's not leading you to a wrong place. Even if you can't see it, even if you can't touch it, even if you can't even imagine it sometimes. And taking that step to that next thing, and then receiving a blessing that He already had for you. Your blessings are already here for you. You just have to come in and grab them. Right? And so you got to think about, are you willing to have enough faith to depart where you currently are? It could be, like he said, dealing with toxic relationships, dealing with a job, dealing with a physical location. Most High been telling you to get out of that area for the longest. Then when something bad happens as a result of that area, we want to say, man, why did this happen to us? He told you to leave a long time ago. Right? It might be something personally that you struggle with. It might be, some type of sin or, some type of shortcoming. We have to have the faith to be able to have the courage enough to take that step. Let it be symbolic of the chair that Ty was sitting in. He said, in order for me to get up, I have to leave this chair. Sometimes we have to leave our current situations, right? So let me pull up the thing real quick. So number 10, right? Number 10 on the questionnaire, it says, after answering these questions and watching the video and joining in on the discussion, do you believe you are more equipped to depart from where you are currently in order to grow and progress towards what the Most High has planned for you? So we're gonna open this up. Who wants to share? Matter of fact, we'll focus on just question number 1, right? We'll focus on question 1.
I'll share.
On question 1. So question 1, are you satisfied with where you are currently in life?
I can go first.
Yeah.
You put yes or no. So I just said no.
Yeah, I tried to make it simple. You either are or you aren't. And that'll save you from sitting there for like 15 minutes trying to figure out an answer. You either are or you aren't, right? For me, I put no. I'm currently not satisfied with where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I put no as well.
Yeah, I put no.
Same here.
Anybody put yes?
Was it no for me also?
I put no, and I don't think anyone ever should be satisfied with where they're at, because there's always improvement that you can make. You can be satisfied to a degree, but you should never allow yourself to become stagnant. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
We should never be comfortable with life.
Absolutely. Okay, number 2, what are some things you would like to change? For me, personally, I said I would like to change my level of discipline. I want to be more disciplined in my life, in all aspects of my life. If I can be more disciplined, I know that, it's gonna be a much needed upgrade, a much needed increase in all aspects of my life. Discipline for me.
I put the exact same thing, the discipline, and hearing y'all's voice more as far as like his direction. So discipline is just hearing his voice more, knowing like where to go, what to do confidently, and walking in faith.
Absolutely.
It's funny because I have consistency on mine, but I guess that goes along with being.
Hold on, say that again, babe. You cut out. Your video froze.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You
froze. Probably because I was flipping between screens. I put like my level of consistency. But I guess that also goes with discipline, because when you're disciplined, you're consistent. And you know this because, of course, you know me. I also put making sure that what I say I want from my life, that my actions match that. Because we can say that we want a lot of things in life. But actions speak louder than words. And when you don't reap the fruit that you say you want so badly, then there's something wrong there.
Absolutely.
Sometimes fruit takes time if you are doing the actions, but I'm honest with myself and I know I'm not doing the actions. So, I can't fault anything or anyone but myself. So,
Yep, absolutely. The first step to growth, people will tell you, it's accountability. But I'll tell you, it's a step before that a lot of people don't even talk about. It's discovery. You got to find out whatever it is that's wrong. You don't always know.
Yeah.
You don't always know what's going on. You don't always know that you're being undisciplined or you're being a certain type of way, right? You have to come to that realization, and then after you come to that realization, then there's acceptance, and the acceptance is the accountability aspect. But if you don't know what to be accountable for, how can you, right? Yeah. So we have to, because a lot of times we judge other people for where they are in their lives, and I can tell you, I've given a lot of counsel in my life. I've talked to many different people, helped them with different situations, and a lot of times they're not even aware that there's an issue. So part of my job in that moment is not only to help them, but it's to help them become aware of whatever it is that they need to get help with. Because now that they're aware, that's when acceptance can come. That's when accountability can come. Now they can take the steps to move forward and do whatever they need to do. So that awareness is key. So it's great that that's a part of this exercise. Is we're searching for those answers. The questions are drawing out things to make us aware of things so that we can be accountable and then be willing to take that step and depart from where we are. Anybody else want to answer on number 2?
Yeah, I had. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry, Professor.
No,
I wanted to share because when Ty was saying like, oh, procrastination and you have to leave. My answer was procrastination, excuses, which ties into procrastination, my spiritual relationship with the Most High, and in parentheses I put like I need to put my priorities, and organization, and I feel like organization ties in with, and priorities ties in with just having discipline. Like I kind of just agree on what everybody is saying. Is just like having that discipline to have priorities. We were just talking about this earlier, of having that organization, and like it's never, for me, I could say like it's never too late to awaken, basically. And I feel like this was the time where it was just like I've been awakened, and I felt that me walking through this time of my life, it was all this have been coming to me of, hey, like it's time for you to get organized, it's time for you to get more disciplined, it's time for you to take control of what's going on in your life. And and now here we are talking about it again. So it just leads to where God always, or the Most High always puts you in scenarios to guide you where He needs you to be. So yeah, that's what when he said procrastination, I was like, dang, this was meant for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was meant for somebody else too. I'm sure it was.
Me.
What you got for number 2, sis?
I just feel like I need to work on changing my ways because sometimes when you're in a certain position, we try to rush things on our own time instead of waiting on God's time, and it can get a little frustrating. And it's like he'll keep you at that position until you learn to wait on him and stop trying to lean on your own understanding. So that's a big thing, including the procrastination part and just being more structured, just to learn how to be more patient.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with everybody else.
And thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. It's hard to admit certain things. Sometimes we're selfish. Sometimes we're quick to anger. Sometimes, we're inconsiderate, right? And since we know those things are negative, when we see these negative traits, a lot of times we don't want to take ownership of them because, even if sometimes we can be those things, we don't want to let that be a label for us, right? So we kind of distance ourselves from it. We acknowledge it from a distance, but we distance ourselves from it, and that prevents us from actually progressing.
Yeah, because you have to confront these things in order to fix them. They have to be confronted first, and then you have to turn away from them.
Yeah, confront it. You have to confront them head on, right? Yep. Say, I am a liar. I am a thief. I am whatever it is. But then after you acknowledge that, but then what? Now oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think the problem is that a lot of people are too worried about what others are going to say and how others are going to feel about them and whatever their deficiencies or weaknesses are. Denial delays healing. Denial delays growth. Denial delays moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
The longer you sit and deny whatever your weaknesses, deficiencies, or issues are, you can't go anywhere. You stay stuck. And if you're so worried about what other people are going to say about, be it your relationship, with the Lord, or your discipline, your self-control, whatever area you're trying to work on, instead of being accountable and holding yourself accountable and saying, okay, this is what I know I have an issue on. I've accepted it. How do I work through it? How do I heal? How do I grow? How do I move forward? If you don't do that, like you're not going to go anywhere. But people are too busy worried about what others are going to think about them. Like, I don't know.
Sometimes it could just be a comfort zone as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why we have to crucify the flesh and set the ego aside. You know what I'm saying? The flesh, the ego wants to constantly maintain the status quo, right? And what really needs to happen is we need to have the humility to be able to accept things the way they are, but to want to change them at the same time, to have the drive to try to make improvements.
Yeah, you gotta absolutely. Daily is the daily thing.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat
shalom.
Chief Sims.
Let me get down. I ain't know I was that tall.
Shabbat shalom.
All right. Question 2. Now that I'm retired, I have a lot of things that are open, like jobs that I started that I haven't finished yet, and having to go out and do all of that, it takes time from me that I could really spend with Yah and just spend time, unhindered time, or uh, well, I'm not as concentrated, being in his space, in his presence, with all of that on my mind. So once I get all of this closed out, then I have more time that I can spend with him.
Mm-hmm. You said you said you had a question.
No.
Oh, I thought you had said you had a question. I was waiting for the question. But you're absolutely right though. But it's important that even if you're finishing up the projects that you started and didn't finish, that you're still setting aside that time, to give him worship, give him praise, read the word, study, fellowship with others, do all of the works that he's instructed us to do. And then if you make that the focal point, he's going to make time for everything else, right? If you make time for him first, he'll make time for everything else. But if you try to do everything else first, there's not going to be enough time for him. And then that's when the relationship suffers.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Sister Kaylee.
The statement I made was answering question 2.
Got you. It was a little choppy, so my bad. Salaki for mishearing you.
I was just wait, can y'all hear me? Or do I need to get closer?
No, we can hear you.
Going back to what Miss Ebony said, one thing that people have to know, like, you can't be afraid of how other people feel, because at the end of the day, we all put our pants on the same way. We all deal with the same issues. And not only that, it's in our weaknesses that God is able to show his strength. So our weaknesses are powerful, and you never know what situation or struggle that we may be facing with one day, and then next thing you know, God is able to turn it around and we're able to help the next person with that same issue. But I know personally for me, I put discipline, and I really think it's because of the instant gratification that we deal with nowadays. Everything is just just so easily accessible, like, watching a funny video and you get the dopamine release, or, going out to eat and smashing on some good food, or, and so to actually be able to have the dedication to put in hard work before you get the gratification, like that's not really a thing anymore. And so it's almost like you get bored during the process, and you can't really see the end result, and so you lose like motivation, which that's kind of what it is for me. But I would definitely say instant gratification plays a lot into that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've got to have that delayed gratification. You got to understand that if you do what's easy now, your life is going to end up being hard. But if you do what's hard right now, your life will end up being easy.
Absolutely. Like I know like individually it can be all of those things, and I do agree with everything that has been said up to this point. But I look at it from those people who are in positions of power, authority, who are in charge of leading, or who are in charge of teaching some things. I know a lot of that is if they find some things about themselves and they acknowledge those things, they're being honest about those things, they're afraid of those titles that they have, those positions that they have, right? The places of authority that they have, the respect of people who follow them, who look up to them, who admire them, not necessarily always just like pastors, preachers, teachers, and elders, but you got, governors, mayors, all of these types of things, right? And I think there's a sense of courage that comes into being in a leadership position and acknowledging your faults and being willing to repent from those things and move forward. That for me, that's more respectable than to consistently put up a charade like you know everything or like you're perfect. You paint this portrait of perfection that you can't even, add up to, and the people who are underneath you can't do it either. And so when those things do come out where it's a public matter and you don't have any control of how the information gets leaked, now it's such a big fallout because people have been putting faith in your infallibility to the point where now they see the chinks in your armor and they just abandon you. How many times y'all have seen, pastors get put out of the church, or it comes out that they did something kind of wrong or whatever, and then the whole congregation walking out, and all the members then just up and quit because they put so much faith into these individuals. So I think there's power in being honest and transparent when it comes from these different authoritative positions and leadership positions, because the people that are under you or looking up to you, they need to know that you're not perfect, and if you're struggling with something, they probably struggling with the same thing, and you actually coming forward and being that example and taking that ownership and that accountability so that you can depart your current situation and go to the next situation operating in faith, then that gives them the encouragement that they can do the same thing. It's actually counterproductive to think that you got to be perfect and shield and hide all of the other stuff, and let the people that are following you and looking up to you actually know that they can do the same thing.
It's very interesting. I was just reading a book about that earlier this week. It was talking about how people have more in common than they have different, right? So many people tend to feel inferior or superior to other people for various reasons, but in actuality, most people have the same struggles, the same issues, the same fears as the next person. So even though it may not be quite as pronounced, lots of people have the same general desires and wants and likes and dislikes. You know what I mean? So that was interesting, and that's part of what what I put for my answer on number 2 was one, I would get closer to Elohim, right? And then I would do more things right consistently. Interesting. And that I would increase my confidence, right? And then control my tongue, right? So that was my answers for number 2. All right.
Now I'm curious, when you say control your tongue, brother, your tongue is one of the most controlled tongues I run across. And brother, you're always careful about what you say and how you say it. So when you say control your tongue, I'm lost, and I'm at a loss, man.
well, okay. So I've been reading a couple really good books. Of course, The Tongue, A Creative Force, right? Mm-hmm. But I reread that, just finished that about 2 weeks ago. And
shout out to Charles Capps.
Right. Yeah. Shout out to Charles Capps. So I read that, and then I've been reading this book, What You Say Is What You Get by Don Gossett. Very good book. And that's what I mean when I talk about controlling my tongue is, Charles Capps said in The Tongue of Creative Force, he says, if the Messiah came to you right now and said that from here forward, everything you said would come to pass exactly as you said it, wouldn't that change your vocabulary a little bit? And, I appreciate you saying I have good control over my tongue, but I've personally noticed where I say things that I don't want, you know what I'm saying? That I say things that I don't want to happen. And I want to refrain from doing that, especially reading this book, What You Say Is What You Get. It's really making things come into a more perspective of like how serious it is what you say. What you say is actually really, really serious, and a lot of things we take for granted, like saying something like scared me to death, right? That's something that you wouldn't even think of as being necessarily a bad thing. It's just a common phrase, but we should be speaking life out of our mouths. You know what I mean? So.
Man, I was literally just exactly what you're saying, that last statement. Thinking about that recently, and I was watching a couple of different videos of a couple of different guys, and they were bringing up those types of examples to where, like, we don't realize, like, the words we say and the phrases that we grew up with, it just comes natural, like that. Oh, I'm dying laughing, or I can't think of all the ones right now, but those common sayings, they have like those negative type words to like that, like I'm dying laughing, or I'm so stupid, or you're so stupid, like that stuff. And it's like, when you really think about the basis of what you're saying, we should try to learn to, like I said, change up those words to more positive and not say like those things that we grew up with saying, like those different phrases. So that's interesting you say that. I was just actually looking at that myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's like very often we'll say to ourselves, man, that was stupid. Why did I do that? That was dumb. But when you really think about it, what you should be saying is, wow, it's highly unusual. I would do something like that. Next time I'll do this, and then say to yourself what you would do in the situation if, now that you have hindsight, and then what that does is it begins to reprogram your mind, instead of making you think that you're a fool and say, man, I'm an idiot. Why did I do that? It just resets the way you're thinking. You know what I mean? And that's something that I personally feel I need to work on.
Yeah, same here. And really quickly before we move on, I know we probably have all these other questions, but along that same topic, again, on one of the videos I was watching, it was like a 2-3 hour video. And the guy's his main focus was the word you know how we all say a lot. And I know I say that myself, but it could have been too extreme. I don't know. Everybody judged themselves for that, but it was just like how he was going to the root of like the word and how that's actually a root in Satanism, or like paganism, like the and then like the sound and the vibration of the word and how we all like say that when we're in between thoughts, like I was thinking. So it was just crazy how he like literally all like, wow, this was like, it was a lot how he broke it down. But again, I don't know if it was too extreme or not, but it was just interesting how he was I just said it too. I just said it right now. It was interesting how he brought that up. I was like, now that's interesting. That's
absolutely.
I wanted to quickly go back to what you were saying a second ago, babe. Sorry, I just said it. When you were talking about excuse me. When you were talking about being accountable and like just aware. And I think the problem is, I'm about to get into like my therapy bag real quick. So, as human beings, you're either self-aware or you're not. And the problem with being self-aware, not everyone, we're all raised differently, had different childhoods. We become adults and we are who we are. Mm-hmm. But for those that are self-aware, it's a lot easier to get to the realization sometimes of things we need to fix, why we feel the way we feel, what we need and want to work on, the areas of growth that needs to happen in our lives. For those that aren't self-aware, the problem is we live in a world now full of humans that don't like accountability. So they don't know how to receive when someone is telling them, hey, you need to work on this. You need to fix this. You have a problem with this. We live in a world full of people like that now. So it sucks because you have some people that are like, hey, I'm ready to move towards growth and changing my life. And yeah, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to figure this out. and mind you, even with being self-aware, there's different levels to it. Some people are way more self-aware than others, right? And there's different levels to it, and that's okay. You don't have to be, to the 100th power. You could be 50% self-aware, but for those that don't have it, if you're not willing to receive when someone's trying to help you and tell you when you need to fix something or that you might need to work on something, that's a problem. You'll never go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I just saw in the chat there. So the books, it's actually 3 books. They all cover basically the same topic, just from a different perspective. The one is obviously The Tongue, A Creative Force by Charles Capps. The second one is What You Say Is What You Get by Don Gossett. And the third one, I can't remember the author, but it's Hung by the Tongue is the name. So really good book. So.
Got it. I put them all in the responded in there with that.
Hung by the Tongue. I think it's no, it's not Charles Capps. No. I'll go find out who the author is. 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. Anybody got anything left for number 2? If not, we'll move on to number 3. All right, number 3. What are some areas you believe you can improve? For me personally, I said I would like to improve my consistency when it comes to prayer, fasting, and meditation. It's crazy, like we've been talking about, accountability and consistency and discipline, and it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. Sister Ava said discipline, increase time with the Most High. Absolutely.
I put my relationship with the Most High. You know me. I'm big on prayer and just talking with him, but I do not read scripture the way I should and the way I need to. So that is definitely an area I need to improve on.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down the same things verbatim. Okay, twin.
Twin.
Yeah, I'm there with you, brother King, as far as when it comes to like prayer, meditation, and fasting. Like for me, fasting is a big one. I know I'm being led to fast, do at least a 3-day water fast with literally nothing else, but I haven't done it yet. And I'm like, I need to do this fast because I think that's something that y'all's working on me to get to that next level, with all this improving discipline, self-control, all that stuff. That 3-day fast, I know is key. And I just haven't, I don't know why, I just haven't been focused enough, disciplined to do it. But I'm going.
We definitely need to have a talk because I've both me and my husband have done 3 days. I've actually done almost 30 days.
Wow.
But yeah, that's another talk for later.
Okay.
And it's funny because it's funny that we're talking about prayer and fasting right now, because for about a month now, I've just been hearing the Lord tell me, you need to do a fast. You need to do a fast. And I keep not doing it.
That's really interesting, because I just recently came across a video randomly about the biological benefits of fasting. And man, I knew some of them. In fact, I knew a good portion of them, but there were some that I had no idea about, and I was like, wow.
Yeah. Outside of the spiritual aspect and benefits, and
there's all kinds of biological
health-wise, fasting heals everything.
Oh yeah,
literally everything.
All kinds of stuff.
So the author of that book just it's Hung by the Tongue, and the author is Francis P. Martin. So Good book. It's a nice short little read too. It's not even that hard to read.
So I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so about like the fasting, right? Because I think I spoke to you about it earlier. Maybe I don't remember.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that.
Okay, so and how it's like for months I've been hearing like, oh, you need to fast, but it's just like I struggle with responding back of just like, but what for? Like, what am I fasting for?
Sometimes we don't even know what the benefits are when doing it. Sometimes we don't even know. It gives us a lot of mental clarity. That's for sure. Another thing that was only discovered in 2001, as a matter of fact, wasn't even known until 2001. Up until that point, it was thought that brain cells never grew back, but fasting actually causes new brain cells to grow. It actually makes you smarter.
And also, just initially too, when you look at it, fasting, obviously you can find many biblical scriptures of them fasting, but I think initially because you're denying yourself something that your body wants and is craving food, and you're denying yourself that, so then Yah will meet us, to get us to that next level, because he sees we're denying ourselves for him, even though we're really hungry, we want to eat, but we're not doing it. So when he sees that we're actually pushing through that pain, then he meets us there and gets us to whatever that next level is. And everybody may have a different level, but I think that's just the initial, you're denying your flesh something that it wants and needs. And then that's like a big reason why, if you can do that for Yah, then he will come and, he starts to guide you more. You hear his voice or get led. Be a lot of things outside of the physical benefits. That's the spiritual piece. Just that denial of the flesh. Because we get hungry, we want to eat, and it's like, nope, I'm not going to eat. And then
because let's face it. Eating food is it's a generally a pleasurable thing. It's enjoyable. We enjoy that. Very,
when you said that, like, I heard what you said, and then it's like it went. But you said that your response is to fasting. Like, why do I need to fast? Is that like in relation to like God leading you to fast, but you're asking him why?
Yeah, like, thank you.
Well, I can tell you now. He's not going to tell you why. Like,
Yeah.
It's something you'll get when you do it.
Correct. Let me tell you. So that time that I did the fast for like almost 30 days, mind you, I had did something like what they call like refeeds in between. And when I first started, I was like, I don't even remember if I had intended to even go that long. I think my goal at the time was to go maybe like a week. Because by that time I had already done about 3 days and I knew I could do the 3 days. And it was one of those situations where I was doing it for weight loss. But then I was like, you know what, Lord, no, I want to do this for you. I don't know what I'm going to get out of this. I don't like, obviously weight loss is going to come with it, right? That's an obvious thing. But I was like, I want to do this for you. And it's amazing. Like at the end of those 30 days, like what I got from it was not what I thought, what I expected. And mind you, at that time, I didn't go in. Honestly, I don't even think I went in asking or praying for anything specific. I just know I wanted to do it for him. And I knew, like I said, on the back end, I knew I eventually was going to reap the weight loss, from it as well. But it's funny because this go round where I've been just feeling and hearing him tell me, you need to go fast. Mind you, there's tons of stuff that I have in my life right now that I'm like, Lord, I need you to work through this. I need healing in this area. I need, healing in this other area, or I need changes in this area. And I just keep hearing, go fast, go fast. And mind you, I haven't done it. Is it to say that I am going to get what I'm asking for? It could be. It might not. But I'm telling you, when you listen to him and you do what he asks you to do, what you reap from it is far greater than you could have ever imagined. Like,
oh man,
Absolutely. Another thing that I want to touch on quickly, since we're talking about fasting. There's so many different types of fasts, because I know some people, they get discouraged when they hear fast. They think that you just shut everything down and you just it's what we call dry fasting, where you don't eat anything or drink anything, right? We kind of think about that. There's various fastings. You can do intermittent fasting, where you fast for a certain period of time throughout the day and then you only eat during a certain period. There's water fasting, where you don't consume any food, but you can drink all the water that you want to drink, like Brother Greg mentioned, right? You have periodic fasting. I remember I used to do this for probably about 5 years, where each month I would pick one of the things that I love, whether it was chips, candy, chicken, beef, soda, whatever it was, and I would give it up for an entire month. Now, it didn't change the rest of my diet or the rest of my actions, right? But that one thing I was sacrificing, because I wanted to just sacrifice it for the Most High. It wasn't that I wanted something out of it. I wasn't saying like I'm fasting because I want to achieve this goal or I want to receive this type of reward. It was just literally to sacrifice, right? So there's tons of different ways you can fast. But
you can do juice fasts. You could do raw fasts, where you only eat raw fruits and vegetables.
Absolutely,
all kinds of different fasts. You know, you don't have to necessarily go completely without. I mean, doing a raw fast is a good way to a really good way to start off fasting if you're unaccustomed to it or you don't really particularly want to. You can just go on a raw fast where you only eat raw fruits, vegetables, and nuts. You know, that's another great way. Or if you have a juicer, do a juice fast. Juice fasts are really good too. It gives you lots of nutrients without your body having to expend any energy to digest it. So you still get the nutrition. Yeah, lots of different ways to fast, and and they can be a little difficult sometimes. I did a 21-day raw fast, and that was it wasn't easy. The only thing I ate in that 21 days that was not fruits, vegetables, or nuts was I had gotten some raw cheese and put on a salad one time, and that was it. It was like fruits, vegetables, and nuts, and that was pretty much all I ate for 21 days. And it was a little challenging, but I still wasn't going hungry. You know what I'm saying? So
you can even go as far as fasting from watching TV, because for some people, watching TV is that hold, that addiction over you. Whereas, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or social media.
That's another great.
I always say the biggest thing: pray, talk to God, ask Him what He wants you to fast from, because He'll tell you. If He says everything, well then it's everything. You know what I mean? And it's definitely going to be harder if it's something you've never done. But like, talk with Him. He'll lead you and He'll tell you what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you just want to cut out meat for a week, or whatever the case is. It could be anything. And then again, like social media, lots of people become to where they can't stop looking at it. You know what I mean? And maybe that's something that basically you want to try to do something that's going to bring you closer to the Most High. So anything that is maybe a distraction. Video games could be a distraction.
It wasn't always food. Absolutely, it wasn't always food. I was about to get into that. It doesn't necessarily always have to be food. You can
like the Daniel fast. The Daniel fast was not. I mean, they just weren't eating the delicacies, right? They weren't eating the king's meat, but they still ate.
You can fast social media. You can fast your phone. A lot of us can't put our phones down. Our phones stay glued to our hands all day. I'm guilty of it too. You know what I'm saying? But but you can fast a lot of those types of things. And then I said this earlier today. It's something important to think about and to consider, right? The Most High wants us to have what we want. Might not always feel like it, but he wants us to have the desires of our hearts, right? But what he don't want is the only time we come to him in prayer, or the only time we come to him in fasting, is because we're doing it because we want something specific. That's why I said earlier, it's about the intent behind whatever the fast is. There's nothing wrong with praying and asking for something, right? We put out this, when we first came on here, we put out the call for prayer for somebody who's sick, right? There's nothing wrong with prayer and asking for something. But if that's the only time you come before the Father, that's when you have to do that self-reflection, right? Have that discovery and accept it and accept that accountability and change that. You want your relationship with the Father to be a two-way street. You don't want it to just be I, right? It's same thing with fasting. You don't want to just fast only because, oh man, it's some spiritual warfare going on. You feel like you're being attacked, and now you're fasting because you want to get that up off you. That's okay, but that shouldn't be the only time you do it. You should be able to fast and be like, I'm fasting with nothing in my mind, no type of, necessarily goal in my mind or something that I want to achieve or receive or obtain. I'm fasting because I want to sacrifice this thing for him, right? Because think about it like this. Put yourself in the Most High shoes for a second. Everybody on the panel, put yourself in the Most High shoes for a second. And then think about hearing prayers from people only when they want something from you. Not just, and I swear, I don't know if anybody else does this, but sometimes when I pray, I just say, hey, all praise to the Most High. How you doing, Pops? How are you doing? Do anybody ask you how you doing? Because we always asking what we want. We always asking about our family. We asking for healing. We ask for deliverance. We ask for all of these different things. Has anybody asked you, how was your day going? And I literally just sit there and talk to him like he one of my homies, because he really is. He the big homie, right? But in the moment, I'm like, nobody asking him. He the creator of the heavens and the earth. He the Alpha and the Omega. He's the most powerful being in existence. However, I'm pretty sure he'll appreciate being asked how he's doing, because he created us and we appreciate it. You ever just was chilling and somebody genuinely, not because they checking off a box. And I know my military folks can attest to this. When leadership come around, so how are you doing? And it's not genuine. They're just checking off a box. Oh, I asked them this, and then they keep it moving. But when somebody genuinely asks you, how are you doing today? How is your day going? And you can tell that they're invested, and it's not a in passing kind of thing. They sit there, they're invested, they engage with you. There's eye contact. You can feel their energy and their vibe, and they ask you that. How does that make you feel? So all of these things, I'm sure the Most High sees it and he feels it. So that's kind of another thing I wanted to mention in regards to prayer and fasting. Pray and fast, absolutely. But don't just only pray and fast when it's convenient for you and when it's about something that you want.
We still on question number 3?
Yeah. But unless you want to add something, I was going to go to number 4.
Yeah, I was just going to list mine real fast.
Okay.
To meditate more is one, and to keep the Torah better. Because there's always room for improvement in that.
Matter of fact, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, but Sister Aaliyah, you want to share a little bit of what you learned today about keeping the Torah better in regards to the Sabbath specifically? You opened the door, Professor S. It was just perfect. It was a perfect thing. Like, it was so perfect. I know she's shaking her head at me. She probably cussed me out in her mind. It's okay.
I just knew it. I seen it coming. Seen it coming. The moment he said it, I was like, "Oh Lord." Keeping the Sabbath day. Got to bring out my notes for today. We spoke a lot about keeping the Sabbath because I had a lot of questions, and and I was struggling. I've been struggling with like, what do I supposed to do on the Sabbath? Like I was told this, and I couldn't do this, but then it was just like, so what do I supposed to do? What can I do? And today, me and Mr. Jamal, we went through it, and so I'm gonna just run through that really quick. And one was just like don't buy or sell or do business. The main thing was like doing business. um it it would say, like for instance, Isaiah 58:13-14. We went through the strong coordinates of when it said like pleasure, and anytime that it said like delight or pleasure or something like that, like we broke it down through the strong coordinates and stuff, and it all came back to business or affairs. It specifically says like don't do business, don't have any type of affairs concerning business, don't talk about it, don't buy, don't sell, don't purchase anything, you know. And then afterwards it was no servile work, which is like cleaning, or business, dealing with like a job or something. And no kindling the fire, which when we broke it down a little more on kindling the fire, they're not talking about, since we have stoves and stuff today, and how back then the way for them to heat up their foods was through fire. It actually specified fire, like do not kindle the fire. So in today's world, we kind of got like a cheap in a way, because we have things of electric. It's not actual fire. So in the way that we kind of discussed it was just like no lighting candles, nothing dealing with fire, no making a fire pit type stuff, like nothing kindling the fire. And what's allowed is giving him thanks, worship, praying, studying, and you're still able to do your regular life, your regular, like you could watch TV. You could be on your phone, but at the same time, like give all praises to the Most High. Don't do anything that's hindering your relationship with the Most High, or hindering your relationship, or going against the Torah or the laws. And yeah, I hope I covered everything right.
Shout out to Fofo. Thank you. But yes. It's always good when you get more information on, certain observances, keeping the Torah. When you think it's one way, you find out it's another way, or you find a more in-depth understanding of whatever it was that you had before, and you just take that deeper meaning. So that's what came to mind when Brother Joel said, have a deeper understanding of the Torah. Because me and him, we have conversations, I want to say about in a whole year's time frame, we probably have about 50 to 60 in-depth conversations about new information that we come across. No lie, like legit. And we'd be like, bro, look what I just found. And I'm like, okay, cool, let me check it out. And then say vice versa. And we just be like, wow, and so good things. But yeah, number 4, what is your biggest obstacle in regard with your personal growth?
I'll start that one.
I put self. That's my biggest obstacle is self.
Girl, did you look at my list? Because I put the same thing.
Look at twins.
Yeah, I put my getting out of my own head. So it is, that's the same thing. Self, as far as like your mental thoughts you tell yourself, like the negative self-talk.
Interesting. Negative self-talk.
It's like, why are you failing? You're blah blah blah. So it's like that mental talk, because it's like mostly it's just coming down to like the mental of the mind. So that's what I put.
Okay, so everybody just said in a roundabout way the same thing: self, negative self-talk. Old T and Tamira over here.
I put habits. I put habits that are not beneficial.
Okay.
But essentially, I mean, that's something I did myself. So,
Non-beneficial habits. Okay. Let's see. What else?
Can I add 2 more?
Yeah.
I would say for some it could be like not believing, or dang, I just had the other one in my head. Not believing and making time.
Making time. Yeah. And like I said earlier, when you put him first, I believe I was talking to Sister Kari when I said that, but when you put him first, he makes time for everything else. And I could tell you, like, anybody who's actually made an initiative, took the initiative to put him first, they can tell you and they'll agree with me on this. When you made time, when you purposefully make time to read and study, when you purposefully make time to pray, to do affirmations, to meditate, all of these different things, you'd be surprised at how much in a day's time frame you're able to accomplish other things and get other tasks done. As opposed to the flip side, when you're focusing on everything else, before you know it, it's time to go to sleep and you're tired and you realize you haven't prayed today. You haven't read the word today. And you're like, man, like, all right, well, I got to try again tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, you do the same thing. You're like, man, there's not enough time in the day, but there is. Because when you flip it and you put him first, not only do you put him first, he makes time for all the other things you want to do. You find out that there's even large gaps of time that's just unfilled because you've gotten everything done. So making time is definitely a big one. Definitely a big one. For me, I put I put pouring so much into others that I do not have much left for myself. Pouring into others so I don't have much left for myself. I'm still learning when to kind of refresh, take a step back and just focus on me. You know, like when you're in the plane, they tell you got to put your mask on first before you help somebody else, right? And so I feel like sometimes I'm so focused on everyone else, whether I'm focused on, you know, the people who I work with in the business, whether I'm focused on the people who I'm fellowshipping with in the ministry, whether I'm focused on, you know, my coalition members and making sure they're squared away and they're good to go, or just in general with my family, my wife, my kids. Like, I'm always like outwardly, and my wife reminds me of this all the time. Whenever I'm getting asked a question about like, well, what do I want or what do I want to do? She's like, you always answer about somebody else. You don't really answer for you. And I'm like, it's so natural. So I'm still learning myself as to being like, okay, I need to focus on Akeem and make sure Akeem is good. And then once Akeem is good, everybody else is going to be good because he's always going to be there for everybody, right? But it's a process, right? Who else? So everybody else just skip number 4, y'all shy.
I didn't technically skip number 4, but everything everyone else said was pretty much the same thing. You know, you get wrapped up in your own self, and it's not that you forget about the Most High. You try to take the initiative to do it all on your own, and we should allow him to, you know, be number 1 in our thoughts, because of course he will be able to, you know, make everything else happen for us. And if we trying to do it ourselves, like you said, we either run out of time or something don't go right, you know, versus just letting him lead the day and, you know, just keep him first.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I just want to add also, sometimes we surround ourselves with people that we shouldn't at times. So being around the wrong people also
Oh yeah.
is bad, can be bad.
Yeah, yeah.
With on that note, it seems like for me, he always like showed me signs of the type of person that tries to be around me because I'm so much a loner. Like because I think being around the wrong people can kind of deter your thoughts and have you thinking in a different perspective than what you normally would versus being by yourself. And you can hear yourself clearly and you can hear him talking to you in a different way.
I think with being around the wrong people, sometimes we don't realize that people are only for a season.
Yeah.
And a season could be a short season, a little longer season. But sometimes we build connections and bonds, and in the moment, while it might feel good and even be good, when it's time for those, like, we start to see signs that those connections need to detach and that we need to detach ourselves, but sometimes we don't do what needs to be done. And then it ends up going down a very
destructive,
like, you know what I mean? Like, it ends up, instead of departing peacefully from each other, then things end up blowing up. So sometimes I think we need to realize that not everyone is for a lifetime. My mother growing up used to always tell me, you'll be blessed to be in your 60s, 70s, and 80s and be able to say you have 5 like lifetime friends. Because the reality is not everyone is meant to stay in your life.
Yeah, yeah, they're there for either for them to teach you a lesson or for you to teach them a lesson. But you got to know what that lesson is. You can't just be angry and be like, well, they just don't want to be my friend no more. Or I don't want to be their friend no more. It doesn't work like that.
No, it's for a
They gotta,
season and a reason. And once you get it, then you peacefully set, like, it doesn't mean you can't, because like I said, you bond with people. So it doesn't mean that, like, if they cross your mind years later that you can't just, check in on them and be like, hey, hope you and the family are good. You guys crossed my mind. I'm praying for y'all. You know what I mean? But you don't have to keep and hold on to every bond and attachment and relationship or connection that you make with somebody. And that's the problem. I think it's like we don't accept that. We don't realize that a lot of times.
I was just about to say that. I was just waiting for you to finish. I was just like, a lot of the times, a lot of people don't accept it. And I was just like, that's the biggest thing, is accepting when it's time to leave. It ties back in to the video that we just watched. Well, not just watched. We've been on here for quite a minute, but it it ties back into the video of, like, letting go, being able to walk away, being able to release,
being able to depart.
Being able to depart. And it's just like you said, like, everything is, whether it's short or long, everything is for a time, like a phase, a season. Maybe you just needed to get that foot in the door, and then to continue on your walk in faith. And sometimes, I feel like is when you're connected with the Most High, He's going to tell you. He's going to put it in your heart. He's going to put it in your mind. Like, it's up to you to accept it and have faith in it and let it go. Let it go and keep it moving. And I do agree, if a person still comes on your mind and stuff like that, like, you don't gotta hold, you don't have to hold bad blood, because maybe the Most High or the Messiah have put it on your heart to be like, hey, later down the years or whatever, to be like, hey, I'm just checking up on you. I hope you're okay.
Yeah, pray for them.
You pray for them. So you never know what that that, hey, even if you guys do leave on bad blood or anything like that, like, you never know what that, hey, I'm just checking up on you, I hope you're okay, would do. So
Yeah, and I'll be the first one to say, like, from experience, you know, sometimes you are close with somebody for a season, and there's a season where, you know, it's best for both of you guys that you separate, you part ways. But that doesn't mean that it's going to end like that. You might reconcile, you might come back together, and the relationship might be just as strong as before, even stronger. And then that may be a lifetime friend, but y'all have to go through that season of, you know, separation so you can grow individually and mature individually. So when you come back together and you're reunited, then that makes the bond even that much stronger. You know what I'm saying? So it's not always that something ended that it's going to stay ended. I mean, that's the case a lot of the times, but you do have those situations where because reconciliation is a thing.
Oh, that's actually really interesting in the aspect of, you know, when Israel got divorced, right? When we read in Hosea and Amos, Israel getting divorced, right? And you know, they're divorced, separated from Elohim, right? And then Messiah came and reconciled that and allowed Israel to come back into the covenant, even though they were divorced and the covenant was done, right? He allowed that covenant to be reestablished. And it's through going, you know, having to go through that period of discomfort, you know, being away, being removed from that, and not knowing, you know, not knowing how, well, being in bad situations, right? Because, you know, it talks about all the bad things that'll happen if you leave the covenant and if you break the covenant, right? But being in those bad situations causes you to, you know, to go back to a previous Shabbat talk, everything happens for us, not to us, right? And so these adverse situations, they can be, depending on how we take them and what we do with them, they can be beneficial. And when you go through a period of anguish and turmoil, and then you realize, hey, this can be, this doesn't have to be this way. If you were to reconcile and come back together, it doesn't have to be like that, right? So when Messiah came and allowed the reconciliation for Israel to come back into the covenant, it made a huge impact on, you know, the implication of the divorce and everything was that they could never come back, right? But it made this huge impact that wow, someone who really knows the Torah can see the gravity of what had to be done in order for them to come back, because they were hosed. You know what I'm saying? They were done for, never allowed to come back. But the gravity of what Messiah did in order to be able to reconcile Israel back to himself was just it's unspeakable, really. I mean,
yeah, I don't think that people actually think about that in the aspect of, even those who understand what the sacrifice was for, because it wasn't just for sacrifice of sins, right? He had to literally die in order for him to be reconciled back to us, like you said. But I don't think people think about it. Hold on. I don't think people think about it like, do you realize the gravity of the situation? He had to die for something that you did, or something that I did, or something that we did. Because had we just been obedient from the get-go, there would have been no requirement of the sacrifice. There would be no requirement of the shedding of blood. Right? Going back all the way to the Old Testament, the shedding of blood is what covers sins for a time. But it took the shedding of perfect blood to be an eternal, right? And so that wouldn't have happened if we would have just held up our end of the bargain, held up our end of the covenant.
No, it just shows the depth of the Most High's mercy towards us. You know, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah. Like I don't know, I'm breaking down in a simple kind of thing. Like you at the house with someone else and you're like making them feel bad for forgetting to bring you home ice cream when they were out. You asked them earlier to bring you ice cream. And they get home, they don't have the ice cream. You make them feel so bad. You just intentionally trying to make them feel bad. So then they go and they're like, man, I don't want to keep feeling like this. They just leave. They go out to get the ice cream and they get into a car crash and die. Now you have to sit with that, right? Had you not did what you did, they would have still been at the house. They wouldn't have had a reason to go back out. They could have got ice cream another time. But you have to sit there with the gravity of they would still be here if you had it. And I don't think we look at it from that perspective often enough. Because I think if we did, it'll make us look at our wrongdoings with a more contrite heart and a more willingness to accept the change, repent, and to be able to depart from our current situations. You know what I mean? But we got number 5. Yeah, 5.
Oh, we're all the way to 5 now, huh?
We're on 5, yeah. We're making progress. What is your biggest obstacle in regard to your financial growth?
I'll start this one off, and I'll just say I put procrastination.
That's a good one. Ooh, it mentioned it in the video too. He mentioned procrastination.
Yep.
I did. I said lack of personal finances and control, like better control of spending. Obviously you're my husband, so you know, I'm not horrible with spending. Like I don't even think I'm bad. I just think I think it's more psychological for me. The minute I have disposable income, I'm immediately thinking of everything I know I needed to spend, or you know what I mean? Like I have this long list of the stuff I need to do financially. And the minute I have disposable income, then I go through that list of like, okay, well then I need to take care of this, or I should take care of that. Versus really, I guess, deciding if it's like, okay, yeah, you need it, but is it like a life or death need it right now, or can it wait? So I think for me, it's more psychological.
Absolutely.
I'd say, I think that goes back to delayed gratification as well, like with the procrastination, for example, it doesn't feel great to procrastinate, but it feels easier than going and doing what needs to be done, right? But in the end, honestly, if you just did what needed to be done, it would be a lot easier later on, so it's
absolutely,
the delayed gratification is something that, it's the same thing with buying something and having the impulse to purchase something that you don't necessarily need at the moment, but it's something that you want. You don't, you get a particular feeling when you buy it, but then down the road you're like, oh, I could have used this money for this instead. You know what I mean? It's pretty much the same thing. It all goes back to the delayed gratification and doing what's best right now,
Absolutely. Not
what feels best, but what is best.
Yes, not what feels best, but what is best. I want to give a quick shout out to the chat. Shout out to Justin Ya, Sister Ava, and Brother Alan, all the way from Spain. This brother, it's 9 p.m. over here. So in Spain, it is 10, 11, 12. It's like 2 a.m. where he's at. This brother stayed up on Shabbat to make sure that he was here with us. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. I know how hard it is to stay up past. Shoot, for me, it's hard to stay up past midnight some days. I'm getting old.
9:30.
30s don't hit like the 20s used to. But hey, I appreciate you for being on here, man. I appreciate you. That brother is always I owe you some answers too, by the way. That brother's always studying and asking questions and looking into the word, and just doing a lot of things. He's been on with us a couple times actually, but yeah, I appreciate you for being on here, brother, for sure. And it sounded like somebody else had something to say before I started.
I think I was about to just say my number 5, but that could wait if you.
No, go ahead.
I guess for me, I thought about it as just more. I guess just utilizing the tools and systems more efficiently that I have access to for the financial piece, for that financial growth, because I have access to like the systems and tools to create that, financial growth, and done it in the small increments, but not at the scale where I, want to, so where I can really pour out and help like other people, as far as get myself where I want to be, and then be able to pour out even more into other people. But just using the tools, I guess, and systems, and staying like focused when it's time to grind and work, is, because sometimes it's like doing so much, sometimes feel like you're not doing anything. So
I can feel you. I can feel you there. I can definitely feel you there.
I got one thing, which I recently just learned, or someone honestly just told me, and it was knowing where your money goes. Like really just paying attention to where your money goes. Because like, yeah, you have this bill, but it's just like, are you really paying attention to, like, for instance, I'm gonna just use an example, right? A person making 99 a year, but never really knew where that money was going. Like, never thought that they were making that much money ever. Like, but yet it's because one, don't know where their money is. Like, they don't know where it's going. They don't know what they're doing. And I fall guilty to that. Making all this money and not even knowing where it's going, or what am I doing with it? Like, how fast is it going? And it could be the simplest things.
Like just carelessly spending.
So, you could be saving thousands and don't even know. You could be out of debt and don't even, because you're not paying attention, you're not budgeting, you're not monitoring your finances or your bank accounts. Of even if there's a stranger could have hacked you, but you're not paying attention where your money goes. Like, the only focus you have is, oh well, this bill, this bill, this bill. What about all those subscriptions that you forgot about? What about, how much money you're spending on food? You didn't went out 8 times instead of 2 times this, but you didn't forgot that you went out the other 6 times, So just, yeah, like,
that's a good one.
And
That's
it's very, very easy to do too. It's so easy to do that, and we've got to learn to master that. And if we really examine the Torah, there's lots of financial principles in the Torah that we don't necessarily take as such, right? But there are financial principles in the Torah, and there is a certain mastery that we should be able to master finances and have control over that. And without, it's especially easy to do with credit cards these days, because you don't even, whenever you've got physical cash going out to someone, you can monitor how much is in your pocket, right? But when you're just swiping a card, or not even swiping it these days, shows, but when you just using a card, you don't even oftentimes take account of it. And it's very important to have a list of that and actually budget what you're doing.
I'm finna jump into my therapy bag again. It's called being mindful. Some of us in here need therapy. Hint, hint.
I do.
And some watching at some point need therapy. So y'all might want to go check it out. It might help teach y'all some things.
Can I
And
mention something on the credit card part or the debit card or whatever? So one thing I do want to mention is monitor you guys when you guys are using your debit cards and your credit cards at gas pumps. I recently just did it like 2 days ago, and I checked my account and it took out $100.
That's just a holding fee. That's at any gas station. They put it back. It's just holding. It's a hold that they have at the pump. That's why I don't use the pump, because they will do that. I don't know why, but if you go inside, it don't do it.
Buc-ee's did not put it back.
They will. It does put it back. So what it does, so before, I don't remember if you remember the old time pumps, the gas stations, they would turn the pump on for you when you paid. You could send someone in to pay and tell them to turn on the pump. Legally, they don't do that no more. You have to pay for it for the pump to turn on. So now you either go inside and give them the exact amount for the pump to turn on, or if you pay at the pump, they have to put a hold. I don't know if you've ever realized, have any of you ever gone to the gas station and it'll send you inside?
Yeah, if you don't have that,
because if you don't have enough on your card, you'll be like, but I got $60 and I only need to put 50. If you don't have at least like 100 to hold, they are not going to let you put gas.
Yeah.
Some gas stations
by paying at the pump. So yeah.
See, life lessons. Thank you.
And a couple things I was going to say to that piece is a couple things that actually helped me when it comes to the financial piece is, first, I don't know if maybe some people on the call read the book or heard of the concept pay yourself first. Once I started doing that, man, I saw savings start to shoot up. I was like, wow, I didn't even know I had this much money extra each month. But typically what you do is before you pay any bill, you pay yourself first, whatever it is. It could be $50, whatever you get, you can work $100. You pay yourself first, put that like in your asset account, savings account, whatever. And then the rest of the money you use it to pay bills. But by doing that, because a lot of people, they pay bills, then they have something left. Oh, I'm gonna go buy this or that with it. Versus, okay, you put that up, and then now you don't have that money to even see, or have it automatically transfer from one account to another every 2 weeks or a month when you get paid. So that $100 or whatever it is that you are putting up for yourself, you don't even see it or even think about it. So now when you're doing your bills and factoring your money, you're not even accounting for that, because instead you say, oh, now I have $100 left over, I can go buy shoes or clothes that you don't need or whatever with it. You don't even see it. So now it's like, okay, I don't have that. And then eventually, once you get that habit, you start to compound. You're like, wow, now I got $500 in my account, or now I got $1,000 in my account. And now you can use that for rainy days or stuff that you use. And I've been doing that for years now. I've had like huge, like $2,000 car repair bills, throughout the years. And I was able to pay it just without, and I didn't even know, because I've been saving that over time. So that's one method, to pay yourself first. And the second one, what I always do, because me, I won't get into that concept, but as far as using credit over debit and building points, you got to be disciplined for that. But what I do, every time I swipe my card, I always get a physical receipt. I don't just do email or text unless they don't have it, but I get a physical receipt. And then every 2 weeks, when I pay off my cards, I always go through each transaction and make sure that the amount is right. Because I'm telling you, by me doing that, for example, I went to like a burrito place. This was a couple years ago, and I went inside. I paid for the burrito. And, I had the receipt. A lot of times people have that tip piece on there, even though like it's a self-service. You're just paying for it. They're not serving you, so you might put zero for the tip or whatever in that situation, because you're not being like served at a restaurant or So like, okay, and then when I was paying my bills, I noticed, wait, I got charged $15 extra for this at this burrito place. I literally called them, say, hey, I'm checking my receipt. I didn't put this much for a tip. There was no reason to. They reversed it immediately. But if I didn't keep track of that, because a lot of people don't get receipts anymore, right? They just go on. You would have paid them an extra $15 when that was just money coming out of your account. But I caught it. I called them. They reversed it, and I didn't go to that place anymore, because I think they were trying to pull a fast one on me. But because I keep track of that and I always check it. And once I do that, then I do shred the receipts. I don't need anymore. But every 2 weeks, I pay off I use it like debit to pay it off. But I go through each transaction and make sure it equals to the exact cent. And then, okay, now I can shred these receipts and pay that because I know it's accurate. But it just happened a few times where it was off because they actually extra charged or did something where you think they're going to, charge you the route because it's just a swipe, but they somehow a glitch messed up. They added extra to it. So that's just 2 tips that I learned to do, and it helped me out a lot.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you mentioned that because I've just been I was just recently I just bought this book and was reading it, and the dude said in the book, he said, pay yourself 10% of everything you make first, and set that 10% aside and invest it in something that's going to pay you back. And then take the money that you've earned from that and put that into something that's going to pay you back too. And that's a really interesting thing, because if you do that first, then you go in and budget out the rest of your bills. But if you don't do that first and you say, oh, well, I'll do that later, then it never gets done because you already spent everything,
Absolutely. Y'all about to have me get into my licensed financial strategist bag in here. No, I was just kidding.
It's crazy though, because I had just read that earlier this week in the book, didn't I, Lisa?
But yeah, brother, I know you know about the debt-free life, like a whole life policy, using that to, put debts to that, and then now you're building up that account versus.
Yeah, it's so many different strategies. But for my number 5. And I'll keep it short and sweet. My number 5, I wrote literally departing clients, because I'm a financial strategist. I work in finance. I put departing clients with poverty mindset and focusing on clients with an abundance mindset. And this was hard for me to realize, was because I'm so passionate about helping people. I want to help the people who, look like me, come from where I come from. I want to help people who have done the things that I've done, specifically my military brothers and sisters, right? My veterans. I want to help them out, but I can't help people who don't want to help themselves. I can't help people who are unwilling to get the help. They need it, and they probably want it a little bit, but they're not ready. So I have to.
You got the teachability index, man.
Yeah, that teachability index, right? And so I found out that in order for me to truly help them, I have to leave them. Focus on people who have that abundance mindset. They're go-getters. They're ready for everything. Build my business up from that. And then I'll be in a position where I can every once in a while reach back and grab and pull someone up, right? And help them out. Because if I focus on just this helping people who aren't going anywhere, then unfortunately I'm going to be stuck in that same realm of not going anywhere myself. So I that was definitely one of the things that kind of stood out to me as an obstacle financially.
Yeah, I mean you can't make someone do something. You can offer advice, but if they're not going to take it, then you can't continue to waste your energy trying to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So.
Mm-hmm.
Because no, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, all that's going to happen is they're going to end up being annoyed, and you're going to be exhausted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else want to share number 5? If not, we'll go to number 6. All right, number 6. What is your biggest obstacle in regard to your emotional growth? Emotional growth. I'll share. For me, emotional growth was sometimes I'm too quick to anger. Sometimes I got a short fuse. It's easy to say you're the most calm in the room, or you don't react to certain situations the way that you want to. But Sometimes we got that quick trigger, and that quick trigger get us in trouble, or it can get us in trouble.
I was a little more vague with it, but I put ingrained neural pathways and engrams that get keyed in. So, it's pretty much the same thing, but I was a little more vague because I didn't specifically get into the exact emotions. But yeah,
absolutely.
Go
ahead, Miss Ebony.
Originally I didn't have anything for this one. But it was funny because as I sat here and I just like listened to my husband, for me, I think like I'm a very emotional person. I'm very in tune with my emotions as well as other people's emotions, and I'm trying to pull other people's emotions out of them, I guess, because I'm just like a very emotional person. And I think my downfall or my struggle is I try to get, the best way I can put it is I try to get people to be like me. In tune emotionally, and I have to learn and understand that not everyone wants to be in tune with their emotions. In my mind, the more in tune you are with your emotions, the better growth, healing, all of that. But I've had to come to learn over the years that not everybody wants that. And my problem is a lot of times I want to push and encourage people towards levels of growth that they don't want for themselves. And it's been hard for me, but I've finally gotten to the point where I'm learning to just keep my mouth shut. And just not even say anything, because like, as much as it hurts me, I'm learning to not let it, I guess, hurt me. Because like my husband said, when it comes to the financial stuff, either you want it or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then guess what's going to happen? I'm going to depart myself from you. I'm going to put a little distance between us because I got to keep going. I can't carry someone else as a burden or a weight or, just, I can't want better for you than you want for yourself. Emotionally.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say you can't want more for them than they want for them.
Then yeah. So if you don't want it, then honey, that's fine. I mean, there's no judgment, there's no nothing, but we're not gonna sit rocking this. Like, I'm one of those people, if your ship is sinking, I will hop into the ship with you to try and plug the holes. But if I'm the only one plugging the holes and you're not even plugging the own holes in your ship, then baby, guess what? I know how to swim.
Right.
And I mean that figuratively and physically. You can ask my husband. And I love swimming so much. I wanted to make sure my babies knew how to swim. Okay. We gonna survive this whole, I'm too scared to get on a cruise ship because it might sink. Well, let it sink. Cause we gonna be good.
You could use that in the faith aspect too.
But no, I'm serious. I will hop into the ship with you. The minute I see you're not doing the work, I have gotten to the stage into my life. Guess what? I'm hopping out of your boat because I'm not going down with you.
Facts.
I'm not going down with you. It ain't worth it. So that's my emotional thing for my emotional growth, because once again, I've always felt like I've been pretty good emotionally, in the sense I'm not that I don't need. Let me put it to this way. I'm very in tune with my emotions that when I see myself sinking, I know how to go and get the help, find the help, do what I need to do to get myself back on track.
Okay.
So I'm definitely not perfect emotionally, right? but I know I'm very self-aware to when I need to do it for myself, what I got to do. But emotionally, I struggle because when I see other people struggling, I'm quick to go try and help them, and busy trying to help them. Then I end up sometimes thinking, so I'm like, no, we're not doing this no more. So yeah, that's me.
Well, yeah,
Now, Professor S.
that's the thing there. Scripture says we ought to carry each other's burdens, right? But that's not to say that if someone wants to just sit around and have you do everything for them, that that's what you need to do, because that's not going to help them. I think we discussed that a week or two ago on the love your enemies thing, where someone had asked about the Ecclesiasticus, right? You don't want to, it's one thing to help someone when they need help, but to actually try to do it for them, it really actually hinders them in the long run, because then they become dependent on that, and
they don't learn to do it on their own.
They don't learn to do it on their own. Exactly.
I think it also comes to sometimes, that whole misery loves company kind of thing. And it's not so much that they look for you to make you miserable, but it's the minute you jump into the boat with them, it's like, okay, well, come join my pity party and let's sulk. Yeah, exactly. Let's sulk about this. And I'm the type of person like, okay, we can vent, but I came with solutions.
Yeah. There's got to be.
You know what I'm saying? So we can vent about whatever the issue is. Yeah. We can have a moment of venting, but we're not going to sit here and vent day in and day out and months and years and years. Like, we're going to cry, we're going to grieve, we're going to do what we have to do, because you got to go through it, right, to get the healing. But then now we need to go and actually go get the healing. We have to go chase the solution and find the solution and actually try to work on it.
Well, the purpose of venting is to get it out, right? To get it out so that it's no longer stuck to you, right? If there's a difference between venting, letting something out and then being done with it, or continuing to dwell on it, right? And when you continue to dwell on it, then it ends up pretty much it's not even really venting. It's just a constant pity party. You know what I'm saying? So,
They had a point about faith. Go ahead.
So I was gonna, I'm gonna let you say your point about the faith thing before.
No, I said you had a point about faith. I said you go ahead. I was giving you the floor.
Oh, yeah, it definitely ties in with faith, with being emotional, because I am extremely in tune with who I am. I'm extremely in tune with my emotions. There are some things that I do let lead me emotionally, but my emotions is so tied in with my faith, where it's just like I know when something up. Like it's not just emotion for me. And my emotions, and let's talk about one. Let's talk about, there is nothing wrong with having emotions. There is nothing wrong with being emotional. There is nothing wrong with being in tune with your emotions. A lot of people is not in tune with their emotions. A lot of people is not even in tune with themselves. So that's a big thing. But to be in tune with your faith, tied in with your emotions, is where you're able to help people, is where you're able to guide and lead and be able to relate to others. Because everybody lives off emotions, whether you believe that you do or whether you don't. Everybody leads off of emotions. And I just feel like the Most High and the Messiah, I feel like they were both emotional people. They were logical, but they were emotional, so it's just like everything ties in. And I feel like emotions really, really ties in faith. I don't know if that was what you was expecting, Mr. Jamal, of when I say it ties in with faith. But for me personally, my emotions, I can definitely differentiate my faith and my emotions and who I need to be around, who I shouldn't be around, what I need to do, what I don't need to do. Like, I'm very in tune because of my faith, because I'm an emotional person, and I can feel others too. Like but there are times where you have to set a boundary, being like an empath or an emotional person, with being able to feel other people's emotions or other people behaviors and stuff like that, with seeing things, because their emotion, their spiritual emotion might not be so helpful to your spiritual emotion, because it could also bring you down, if your faith in the Most High and your spirit isn't as strong as it needs to be. So that's all I really have to say.
Good point. Good point.
And I guess for me, similar to Sister Ebony, at first I didn't have anything. I know there something I just couldn't think. Probably because we were on the road coming back. But after Brother Keen had said his, it made me think, okay, I guess for me, it'd be just, and when I say having more patience, people that know me would say, wow, you're like one of the most patient people ever. I've never seen you get frustrated. Which I guess that's a good to not show it externally, but internally, internally I get frustrated. Sometimes I'm like, dude, I get annoyed and frustrated with certain people, even though I know I'm like one of the only, like, for example, there are some like older like ladies I fellowship with, and I know they don't have a lot of people to talk to, friends, but it's like they come in with everything. And sometimes I get frustrated. I'm like, dude, you send me like 3 pages of text messages. They're always like, tell me about everything in your life. Like, I don't, but I have to like learn. Okay, they're just, being they don't have anybody else to talk to, and they just want some like guidance or suggestions in life. But sometimes I have so much going on. I'm like, dude, this is so much. But just being more patient and just appreciative that, hey, at least this is not like a hateful text. Somebody's coming at me like angry at me. They're coming to me because they trust me and they appreciate my advice. But sometimes just like a lot, so I have to just kind of internally learn to like be more calm and not so frustrated sometimes when that happens.
Oh yeah, they say something stupid or you give them everything, and then they literally do the exact opposite of what you said, put themselves in the situation, and they come back to you and say, hey, why is this happening? And you go, because you didn't listen.
Yeah.
You didn't listen. That's exactly why. But yeah, no, I feel you, brother. I definitely feel you.
Okay, so I actually didn't even answer what I said. I kind of was just thrown in there. So I actually end up putting, I don't really feel I have an emotional problem. But now listening and listening to Miss Ebony, I think my emotional problem is being too aware of other people's emotions. And wanting to bring their emotional side out, or to be like, okay, why are you this way? Like I'm a very, especially when it comes to like quiet people, like Mr. Greg. If I would have met you in person and you're saying you're quiet, are you kind of emotional? Like,
You muted.
You muted yourself.
Aaliyah.
Did y'all hear me?
No.
Okay, so I would have. My bad. So Mr. Gray, I was using Mr. Gray as an example, as of him saying like, it may seem like he's not showing any emotions and stuff like that. Like, it's easy for me to catch that. Even if you're not showing it, it's like, I know you upset. So let's talk about it. Like, I would be the person next to you and kind of in your face, like, I know that just made you mad. Let's talk about it because it needs to be released. Like, it's for me, it's just not good to keep it in. But yeah, at first it was really just, oh, I don't have an emotional problem, but at the same time, I guess I'm just that person that runs to other people and be like, we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
And
So,
now it's just like,
sometimes, yeah, pull back. Sometimes you got to draw them back and help, and then they might even seek you out when they're ready to discuss those things, whether regardless of what it is.
I want to say my other problem is I tell people what their emotion is, and sad enough, most of the time I am right, and they eventually tell me, and it's just like I already knew.
Because you can feel it, right? Because you can feel it. Yeah. You can feel it.
Not everybody wants to be told exactly what they're feeling. They're not ready to relinquish that yet. So sometimes doing it preemptively can be a little uncomfortable and cause discord, even though your heart's in the right place. But for the sake of time, let's go ahead and keep it moving. Number 7, what is your biggest obstacle regarding your spiritual growth? You can say it.
I said not saying.
Ebony said reading scripture.
Okay.
What you say, Lee?
Not staying focused, easily distracted, not understanding and depending on others to teach when it comes to, reading the Torah and the Bible and, gaining my spiritual power, I would say. Because like I know my position when I get to heaven. But knowing that and not studying the word, like I might be the fighter and the warrior and the sword and stuff like that, but how are you gonna have that sword and you don't even know you're not knowing the word? You're depending on everyone else to tell you what it says and what the word is. But now I'm reading and then I'm asking, like, hey, can you break this down to me?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I guess for me, it just goes back to the meditating and fasting, because I know you need to get better at just meditating, just putting everything down, just having that time to focus without being distracted, and really just, So meditating and fasting are my 2 areas.
That's funny because I put meditation on mine too.
Meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all are meditation twins. Yeah. What did I put for mine? I put discipline and consistency. Discipline and consistency. If I stay and remain disciplined, everything will fall into place. And if I'm consistent in my discipline, everything will really fall into place. Like, there's weeks where, my camera was tripping for a second. Yeah, but there's weeks where we'll finish Shabbat talk, we'll have the Torah reading for the next week, and the very next day I'll read majority of the whole week's worth of reading, right? And then the next day I finish off the rest of it, and then I'm reading other things and studying other things. Then there are other weeks where it's like, I read that next day or the day after that, and then that other day I start reading one chapter, and then I go, and before you know it, Shabbat is in a couple days, and I hadn't even finished the Torah portion, and now I have to focus on the Torah portion as opposed to having my standard reading of reading whatever it is I'm reading at the time, right? Or you get so caught up in life and everything like that, you realize man, today's Shabbat. Oh, I ain't read nothing all week. Like, and if that's the case, that's a problem. So, having that consistency, having that discipline, and like Professor S has been saying, that delayed gratification, putting in the work, making sure you set time aside, you plan it in your schedule, you do whatever you need to do, and be disciplined enough to make sure that you're giving the Most High His due time. Who else? What else y'all got for number 7?
Leaning more on the Father to guide me more, lean more to His understanding and not mine. So just to put more trust in Him, to pray more, and to put more trust in Him for direction, for things, for all things, basically, to go to Him first. To always remember to put all things in His hands first. Or I guess you could say to run it by Him first.
Okay, run it by Him first. Let Him guide your steps, not lean into your own understanding, but in all ways acknowledge Him. He'll direct your path. Oh yeah, I see you. Absolutely. When you're being led by Him, He ain't gonna lead you wrong. He ain't gonna lead you astray. So that's the best strategy to have. Anybody else? Okay. Number 8. What are things you are doing well in regard to your walk with the Most High? Right? I know it seems like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say prayer and communication.
Yeah. Because, you might feel like you're getting down on yourself with all of these different questions, and it seems like it's just drawing out the negative. But it's good to draw out the negative, but you also want to acknowledge the good things that you're doing, right? The things that you're doing well, the things that, the Most High is looking down and He's proud of the progress that you're making and the impact that you're having. So, Ebony said prayer and communication. She is a prayer. She prays for everything. I can tell you, I've seen it. I live with her, right? And, she's an excellent communicator. Like, we talk about everything. Even when I don't want to talk, we talk about everything. So I'm telling y'all, I believe her wholeheartedly when she says that, because that is one of her strengths. And when we first met, prayer, I would pray, but I wasn't a prayer warrior. I wasn't in that category, right? I believed in communicating just because I had to communicate often in my life, so that kind of lined up. But in regards to prayer, she was strong while I was weak, right? And she helped me in that regard.
Now, I would like to say this when it comes to the communication between he and I. If he is not ready to communicate, I know how to step back and be like, okay, well, when you're ready, just let me know. But one thing he knows is he cannot get away with not communicating, because we gonna talk about it.
Oh yeah, so we gonna talk about
it. I'll give him the time he needs, and same vice versa. Because I mean, I'm not going to pretend and act like there's times that there's something I don't want to talk about in the moment. Like, as a matter of fact, the other day we had a situation when it came to talking about something about the kids. And I was just kind of like, I'm not there right now. And he could sense it, and he was like, yeah, I can tell I just got you all flustered. We'll talk about it later. I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, we both give each other, like, we extend that grace, that time of like, okay, we know we'll discuss it. We're just not going to discuss it right now. We'll discuss it at a later time. But we always discuss whatever needs to get discussed. Like, we're going to communicate in this house. We make our kids talk when they don't like. So, yeah.
Communication is key. I put on mine teaching, being an example, being a servant that helps others, and things that I'm doing well in regards to the Most High. I believe leading by example. I will never tell somebody something or ask somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. I even take it a step further. I will never tell you to do something or ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do, but I haven't done already and I'm not currently doing. Right. So that's just kind of always, always been kind of like who I am. Even more so when you're talking about ministry. A lot of people scared to say they're teachers because they read the scripture, and when you're a teacher, you're held to a higher standard. But if you're on here and you're sharing information and you're teaching people, you're a teacher. So accept it and keep it moving. So yes, teaching is on there. Like, if you're teaching people, but then you don't acknowledge that you're a teacher, it's not like that's gonna spare you from whatever consequences if you're false teaching, right? You're still a teacher, and you'll be held to a higher standard, regardless if the words of acceptance comes out of your mouth saying I'm a teacher. But and then helping people, we have a history of trying to help, whoever we can, whenever we can, if it's, within our ability to do so. We've helped a lot of people over the years. And so, yeah. Who else? What else? Give me some good stuff. I'm ready to hear all the positivity thing. Tell me all the good stuff y'all doing for the kingdom.
Starting the day with prayer and ending the day with prayer.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Starting it with prayer and ending it with prayer. That's powerful. And it takes discipline. That takes a lot of discipline to do that regularly.
I feel like if I don't start my day with prayer, like something is missing throughout my day. So I make it doesn't matter if I wake up like a little late, like I usually, than I normally do, I still have to start my day with prayer. And I still have to end it with prayer. It has become like a part of me now. Like if I don't do it, something is missing. Either way, it just feels something is just off or is not right. Yeah. So I make it. It's like automatic now. I don't even think about it. I just do it.
Yeah, that's the Ruach operating in your spirit, and you just know because something's wrong. And Professor S earlier mentioned about the neural pathways, and so you have you have those deeply ingrained neural pathways to pray, right? And so you just do it on autopilot because it's so consistent and automatic. That's great. That's great because other people got neural pathways that is consistently in sin. You gotta get out of that. So it's good to have those good habits, right? I think you mentioned something else about good habits too, right, Professor S?
Yeah, I was actually it was what was it? It was answer to number 4. That habits that are not beneficial. Social and personal habits that are not beneficial, right? Yeah. So it was actually bad habits that needed to be changed, needed to be replaced. But,
gotcha.
But as far as like good habits, I think loving the Torah. I think it's very important to have a love for the Torah, because how could you want to do the Torah if you don't actually love it? You know what I'm saying? And then making continual improvement. I'm always trying to improve myself in various ways. I would say I have a pretty decent memory, and being teachable. So.
Your memory is like an elephant, and you're very teachable.
I was about to say you are very teachable, honey.
You can tell Professor Ed something that he's already studied and know, and you can go on for 30-35 minutes and I learned when you go here and you read this scripture and then you look at the translation in the Strong's Concordance right here, it says this, but if you actually look further it says this, and blah 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 blah, and in 1572 they had this da da da, and it ties it in, and he'll just sit there the whole time. Hold on, put the camera on. Put the camera on. He'd be sitting there the whole time like, yeah, really? And then you just go, and you just hyped up, and when you finish, like, yeah, did you know that? Yeah, I read about that about 12 years ago. But you didn't make me feel like
he's so receptive to information. I don't care what information it is. Like, it could be a new technique on how to make a peanut butter and jelly. Like, he's so receptive. Like, if there were more people in the world just in general receptive to receiving information the way he is, look.
That's why he's a professor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm, you know, there's always, even if it's something I already know, there's nuances, there's, you know, finer details that I can always gain from it, you know. So I'm always gonna focus on that.
And I guess for me, things are doing well in regards to the walk with the Most High is, I do read scripture every morning. Like, I wake up and I, similar to Sister Andrea, like, I don't feel right if I don't read. Like, I at least have to read one. I typically read one Psalms and then one chapter in whatever book I'm in. You know, I just got to read at least one chapter or one Psalm every morning, no matter if I stay up late, which I'm mostly in the bed like 8:39, but got to get up no matter if I get up late or don't do everything I need to in the morning. I always got to read scripture. That's like the one thing is like, have to do that. Even if I miss out on other stuff, I got to do once in a while. But reading scripture and also talk to Yahushua literally all day, like all throughout the day while I'm working or while I'm cleaning or going to the grocery store. I'm literally thanking and praising and thank you for letting me make it to the grocery store. Or thank you for letting me have enough money to buy groceries and gas. Like, I'm always just in like praise and gratitude, like literally all day for everything. Thank you for letting me have running water so I can take a shower. Thank you for letting me have a garbage system, so then the truck comes and takes the trash. Now, I know that's a whole other topic where they dump it, but at least letting it take it away so you're not living in filth and disease, right? So I just thank for the stuff that people don't even think about. So I thank Yah and Yahushua and talk to them all day, every day. Never I don't feel right if I don't do that. Also, just, you know, people I've been able to, I'm grateful that used me to be able to help till I baptize, and even say going to do a deliverance session, even though the girl was gone by the time we got there, but that was like a 2.5 hour drive. I thought it was only an hour drive, but it was in the 2.5 hours. And I got the call last night, and I was like going to bed. Hey, can you come with me in the morning? We're gonna drive to do this thing because crazy stuff is happening. I'm like, okay, I'll help you. So I know that's something that Most High put on me to be able to help in that area. So those are things that I am doing well, I believe, regarding the Most High.
Absolutely. Like I told you in the private chat, bro, you're a good brother.
Thank you, brother.
It's hard enough to drive. You said 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
2.5
well,
hours.
I wasn't driving. My other fellowship buddy, he came and picked me up, but she lives an hour from me. So he drove an hour to pick me up, then we drove 2.5 hours. So for him, it was 3.5 hour drive. But he picked me up this morning. So
that's dedication.
Yeah. And the place to put the not to veer off too much off topic, but the place we went to was like this 80-acre land, and it was like, I mean, that would be a great, and it actually was used for like kind of like a sanctuary of believers, but other people died at the founding people because they were, I guess, got the land in the 70s, but it's still like we had multiple dwelling places. They had 3 water towers and solar. It was like, wow. And their storage had so much food, like so much food. Literally remind me of like a zombie apocalypse movie. You know, you see those movies where like, man, this is a good like place to go if something were to happen. Like, you can go here, but yeah. So it was a nice. At least you got to enjoy the beautifulness of Yah's creation, and they had the trees with the what is it, date trees and fresh oranges and all the organic stuff that they grew there, that they would eat their own stuff. Like they're vegetarian mostly, but they would eat all this stuff grown there. It was like so much stuff. I'm like, wow, this is how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely,
bro. That's so awesome, man. Because you know, that just reminded me. You know, there's so many things that we take for granted now. You know, like running water and trash service and stuff like that. You know, gas in the tank. You know, we go in and buy gas and feel like because we paid for it that we've acquired it, right? But you know, having that gratitude, man, that's something I need to work on myself. So, you know, thank you for that, because that's just motivated me to be more grateful for things. You know, yeah, even the things that are seemingly mundane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's because it's really not. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Thanks, bro. Thanks
You're
a
welcome,
lot,
brother. And thank you for all the wisdom you provide.
Oh,
no problem. Brother Greg's an inspiration, that brother.
Mm-hmm.
I get it from you guys, Brother Akeem and Professor S. You guys are some good brothers, so glad I met y'all.
And all praises.
I just have to say it's amazing how all this works, because a lot of times the Holy Spirit talks to us and we hear it and we know it's, you know, God talking to us through the Holy Spirit. And sometimes we just make the choice not to do things, or we say, oh, I'll just wait a little while to do it, right? And I'm telling you, for like the last month, I have been hearing so many little different things between fast, or you need to create, you know, a morning routine to dedicate. So I'm great when it comes to prayer and communicating, you know, with the Most High. But I used to kind of have like this morning routine, because I used to have a driving job. I was a courier. So it was just one of these things that I always, first thing when I got up and got in my car, like it was like a switch. That's just when I would start and when I would do it. Some days it'd go on for hours. Um, Either way, like since stopping that job, like, you know, life has changed and stuff. And like for like the last month, I've just been hearing to do like that God wants me to do so many different things. And I have made the choice to just be like, oh, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start another day, or oh, I can put that out for a little while. And it's like being here on Shabbat Talk and just hearing everything that we're talking about. It's like just that confirmation, like I've been talking to you and you've been ignoring me. So you just gonna keep ignoring me? That's what we doing. Oh, okay. You know,
I'll put it
and
on Shabbat Talk and have everyone say it.
huh?
You just say, you said, oh, well, if you can ignore it, I'll just put it on Shabbat Talk and have everyone say it and bring it up.
I'm telling you, like that's what's happening. So it's like
everyone's going to be saying it.
And like I'm telling you, I'm one of those. I'm very, like I said, self-aware. So even when it's not Shabbat Talk, things will happen in my life, and it'll be like, "Hi, I'm here. I'm here in front of your face. You're just still gonna ignore me," and I'll just be like, and I'll still go about my life and my day and do things. And I'm telling you, God will only be ignored so long. So I think this week I'm gonna have to get into some routines and start doing some things, because He's not playing with me no more.
Absolutely.
He is over and done. He's like,
So the question is, if there was a solution to those problems and it was available right now, would you take it? So I'm gonna ask everybody to unmute their mic, and one at a time, give me y'all answer the number 9. Would y'all take the solution? I would say yes. If the solution was right here, right in front of my face, available, I would take it.
Yes, and I would say yes. And I believe we do have the solution. We just have to realize it is in front of our faces, and we just gotta take it. But yes.
Sister Kari in the chat said yes.
You already know mine is yes.
I say yes also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What about y'all over there, Faith Overfield? Y'all been quiet. Y'all been super quiet with the mic muted. I know it's a long way from that couch to that mute button. I know.
What question is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for question number 9, mine wouldn't be a yes, and it also wouldn't be a no. It's for me. It's like depending on where it comes from,
Like the solution plan.
like who it comes from. Like if it comes from God, then I mean, of course. But if it comes from maybe somebody that's living in the world today, or somebody that I might know, I probably would not take it.
Okay. Well, let me elaborate on that with you for a second. Let me tell you, if it's not coming from the Most High, then it ain't a solution.
Oh my God, we're married.
You right on the money with it. So you right, like who's it coming from? Because you're gonna have other people that's like you said in the world. You're gonna have the enemy trying to come with solutions. You're gonna have people that ain't living right that's coming with solutions. But if all of those things isn't coming directly from the Most High, it's not a solution. It's not a solution. Absolutely.
It is a solution, because when we say that it's not a solution, then we take out the fact that we need discernment. We take out the God piece. Like at the end of the day, we still need to be developing that relationship with the Most High to know when it's from Him. Because just because somebody show up with a bag of money and you needed money right now, don't mean that it's from God. And then further, we have to take that step of learning how to test the spirits to know that it's from God, instead of just showing it away or just accepting it. It is a solution now, but that don't mean we need that discernment to decide if it's good or not.
So like if you have a situation where you need a specific situation solved, right? Someone that's not in tune with the Most High or not sent by the Most High, they're going to give you what they feel is a solution based on their experience or based on what they were told or what they were taught. And you're going to find that whatever they gave you as a solution isn't the solution.
It may appear to be.
It's not the right.
It may appear, unless it's actually coming from a place where it's in Scripture. I've seen worldly people give advice, and they don't know this, but the advice that they're giving is in alignment with the Scripture, right? But in that situation, the Most High would use that individual to give that advice, so it still came from the Most High anyway. But
yeah, but on the flip side of that, when we talk about things, it's not just advice, but it's practical. Like recently, a lot of us have been on the job situation, right? Should I take this job? Should I take this job now? And an opportunity comes up where, I mean, you in months in a hole, and next month you don't know where this money gonna come from, and then bam, there's a job offer. You need to have the discernment. It's a solution. You can take that job. It will give you money and it will pay the bills. But you need to have that discernment and then, like you're saying, obedience to knowing what the scriptures are. So it is a solution. But it still takes the works part to know, to have that discernment and that relationship with God, to know, is this God sending you this job? Or is this the enemy trying to tempt you with a job? Or it just happenstance the job came because you put in 20 resumes. So that's what I'm saying. We can't leave that part out of that, it taking work on your part to, one, test the spirits, which is scriptural, and then two, have discernment, which is scriptural.
well, yeah. But like if you're talking about a job with, like, if you're trying to keep the Sabbath, then that's the reason why you haven't accepted job offers, and you get a job offer and a salary is going to pay your bills and get you out of the financial hole, but they're not going to let you keep the Sabbath. That's not a solution. You know what I'm saying? How if a job comes along and they will let you keep the Sabbath, and that was the only reason why you were, saying no to the previous job offers. Then the discernment, the discernment obviously kicks in, and you're just saying like, okay, but they're saying that they're going to let me keep the Sabbath. That's been my big hold up. They're offering me a position. Do I take it? Is this from you, right? And then that's when you start to have that dialogue. But like, not everything right out the gate is a solution, even if it appears to be, like Professor S said. Some things can appear to be a solution, but if they're not directly from the source, then they're gonna be a hindrance as opposed to a solution. They're gonna look like a solution, but they're gonna actually hinder you. They're gonna put you in a worse situation than you currently are in. Even if in the moment, that instant gratification, we've been talking about gratification, that instant gratification is like, oh yeah, things are good. But in the long run, you're not going to be where you truly want to be or where you truly need to be, right? If you're sitting here starving and you live right next to this body of water and you don't know how to fish, and I come to you and I catch a fish for you and give it to you, even though you eat for that night and your belly is full for that night, I'm not a solution unless I teach you how to fish, and how you can go out and fish for yourself and feed yourself and provide for yourself, right? So somebody could come along and know how to fish and give you a fish. That might seem like a solution, but the problem, we're addressing symptoms and not the actual diagnosis, because the diagnosis is you need to learn how to fish. I'm speaking metaphorically, obviously, but and it could be practically too, right? If you don't know how to fish, you live by a body of water and you're hungry, that's your fault.
I think what's very vital too, between what both of you guys have said, like she was saying, there needs to be discernment. I grew up in a home with, when I say a prayer warrior, I mean a prayer warrior. Like, I believe I learned to pray, and the reason I am the way that I am when it comes to prayer is because of the home I grew up in. For years, even after I left my mother's home, actually the years that I chose to leave my mother's home, I believe I'm here today because of my mother's prayers. And mind you, I was a grown adult making decisions I shouldn't have been making. They were irresponsible. They were crazy, right? But I'm here because of her. But there's been times even in my personal life where I've made decisions because I've learned to have my own relationship with the Lord, and I've learned to hear and listen to his voice. There's been times where my mother would be like, oh, well, I don't think you should do that. Well, Mom, I love you and I respect you, but I know the relationship I have with the Lord. And it doesn't mean that I don't take into account what she said, because she's my mom. And I've always trusted her prayers. I've always trusted the relationship I've seen her personally have with the Lord. You know what I mean? And I know he speaks to her as well. But we each individually have to have our own relationship with him to be able to hear what he's telling us to do. Because just like Marquita was saying, when it comes to like, taking a job or something like that, or, whatever decision we're going to make in life, like you got to be able to hear him. And if you don't know how to hear him, then that just means you need to work on your relationship with him. Because the better relationship, the closer relationship you have with him, the better you can hear him and know that it's him and not, the enemy. But it's our jobs to individually have that, because don't get me wrong. For example, like as parents, it's our job to lead and guide our kids as best as possible. But when we're dealing with other people, especially, for example, other adults, I can't come to you and say, well, I mean, I can, because this is my thing. And I can only speak for me, right? But if the Lord reveals something to me about someone else that I know, a friend, someone I love, whatever it is, I'm going to say, hey, The Lord showed me this and I wanted to share it with you. But at that point, that doesn't mean I get to control the decisions and everything over your life. God showed me something. I shared it with you. Now it's your job to take what I shared with you and go pray on it and see what the Lord shows you about your own life or your own situation.
Some
It's
people
not
don't
for,
accept that.
huh?
Some people don't accept that. They don't allow you to do that.
I know that, but that's why I'm saying it. Like it's not about, oh, this is what I saw, so this is the decision you have to make. No, like this is what I saw, so I'm going to share it with you because I care about you. Now you go pray on it and see what the Lord shows you. Like that's, like that's just how it is. So, I mean, it's not our job to control. I think growing up in churches, sometimes we see, the prophets or the prophetesses or whatever. They come and they speak over your life, so you just do what they say. Like, no, but seriously, like, take what they gave you and pray on it. Give it to God. Say, hey, someone told me this, Lord. Show me. Because once again, if you have a good enough relationship, he's either going to reveal it to you as well, or he might reveal something to you that, you know what I mean? That person is not going to know anything. Either way, like, it's our individual responsibility to have that personal relationship with him, because it's our lives. When it's time for us to stand in front of him on Judgment Day, we can't say, well, I made that decision because so and so told me. He's gonna be like, I don't care about so and so. How come you didn't come talk to me about it? It was your life. How come you didn't come to me and pray on it and ask me if this is what I wanted you to do as confirmation? Like, that's just not how it works. So,
Yep. You gotta take whatever's given to you and send it through the refiner and find out if it's true or not. The gift of discernment is a powerful thing. All right, so I'm gonna ask this question, then I'm gonna play a snippet of the video again, because I know we watched it, like, Sister Aaliyah said, like 7 hours ago. But I'm gonna read this question, we're gonna play the snippet of this video, and then we're gonna wrap it up with the last question. The way I worded it is, I wanted you to write your answer as if you were speaking to somebody else who is struggling with departing from where they currently are, struggling with taking that next step of faith to be in a better situation for what the Most High wants from them, right? And what advice would you give them based on the information that you received tonight, on whether it was from the video, whether it was from the discussions that we've had, or maybe it was something that the Most High put on your heart or the Holy Spirit revealed to you, today, you know what I mean? Or maybe even recently, that something you didn't even share with us tonight, right? What advice would you give to someone else? But question number 10 is the reflection question. After answering these questions, watching the video, and joining in on the discussion, do you believe you are more equipped to depart from where you are currently in order to grow and progress towards what the Most High has planned for you? And this was a yes or no question, but I'm gonna play this video real quick, and then we'll come back, get everybody's yeses, and then I want to hear what advice you would give someone else. And that advice to someone else might just be what you would give what advice you would give to yourself, But here we go.
One thing I want to talk about, and we can just talk. Let's go. But one thing that hit me was that anytime, I'm going to say it exactly how, in order to come up or move forward, they both require some type of departure. Ooh. Yep. If I was to literally stand stand up in this chair, I would have to leave the chair.
Right.
If I was to move forward and go towards my grass, I would have to leave this space. And I think a challenge for people moving forward is the thing they got to leave to do.
That's real.
It's the departure. There has to be an abandonment in forward movement of some sort. And if what's forward is not worth your departure, you're going to wait till it is. So that's where procrastination come in at. You got to wait till what's next is worth you leaving.
Okay, got it.
But if you ain't got a whole lot of information on what's next, you understand what I'm saying?
Then that faith going to have to kick in.
That faith going to have to kick in. I remember, because sometimes, y'all, I'm hearing so many sermons right now. I'm hearing, as we go. As we go. The 10 lepers, Jesus said, go show yourselves to the priest. They were not healed yet, but the Bible says as they went, they were healed. Sometimes your blessing is in the steps. You're not blessed first and then you move. Sometimes the blessing is in the movement. Sometimes your blessing is in your departure. Sometimes the blessings is in you leaving. So when they left that place and as they went, they were healed every step of the way. And I'm like, whoa. Sometimes blessings are not activated until you leave.
And he's something else he said that I didn't mention earlier that was something that caught my eye. He said, sometimes you don't leave and go and move forward until you feel like there's whatever you're moving forward is worth moving towards. And if you don't, you stay where you at until you feel like that other side is, good enough for you to actually justify you moving. And that's where procrastination comes in at. And a lot of times we find ourselves procrastinating in whatever situation we're in, whether it be, procrastinating and not growing emotionally or growing financially or growing spiritually or growing mentally, whatever the case may be. And we feel like if we don't have that information and we don't know what's on the other side, we don't know what's out there waiting for us. We like, well, I'm comfortable right here where I'm at.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is that we become comfortable and complacent where we are, lots of times, and it takes us actually either to recognize that where we're going is better, or to recognize that where we're at we just don't like it, right? It's yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's why we had these questions, right? All of us, or majority of us, I can't speak for everybody, but everybody I've heard the response from said that we're not happy currently where we are in our lives. We've acknowledged that, right? So we've acknowledged that we're not happy where we currently are. There's places, there's things for us to improve. There's things that we can get better. There's things that we've identified where we've had shortcomings, right? All of these things represent a situation in where we currently at that we need to depart from. So how are we going to get to the point where we're ready to depart? And I can tell you, it's not waiting for that other situation to look good, to look appealing enough to justify us getting up out of our seat, our metaphorical seat, to go and chase after. We have to put our faith in the Most High, that he's going to guide us to the right place that's going to be beneficial for us, first and foremost, and to know that whatever the road to get there is, those guided steps to get there is going to be all for our good at the end of the day, right? Going back to that same scripture, we talk about it all the time. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added on to you. All we got to do is focus on him, put faith in him, let him, right? Let him, guide our steps, right? And then everything else will take care of itself. All of the growth that we want, all of the abundance that we want, all of our heart's desires that we want will happen. It's a part of the journey, right? We're so focused on the destination, we don't enjoy the journey. And it's the journey that's what matters.
Yeah, the journey actually is the destination.
The journey is the destination. That's where you get your growth from. That's where you impact lives. That's where you create memories, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You think about it in terms of just life. You're born and then you die. If you're just focused on one thing, you're so narrow-sighted, you missed everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
The kids' first steps, the kids' first walk, seeing them grow, having those conversations, memories with your significant others. You know what I'm saying? Date nights and family get-togethers and fellowshipping with family and with extended family, right? Brothers and sisters in Messiah. Enjoying feast days, reading scriptures, studying, sharing information, all of these types of things. If we're so narrow-sighted and focused on whatever we want because we want it right now, and even though a lot of times with the things that we say we want, we're not ready to get them because we're not willing to do whatever we need to do to get to those things, which means we got to depart from where we at. We got to be more uncomfortable in our situation than we want the new situation to be. You got to be more uncomfortable where you at, squirming in your chair, in order to justify you leaving that situation to go somewhere else, instead of just operating on faith.
I think it was Les Brown was telling a story about sitting on a porch and this dog, this hound dog laying on the porch, and every now and then he'd go rrr, 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 just whine a little bit. And finally a dude was like, what's wrong with your dog? And he's like, oh, he's laying on a nail and it hurts him a little bit. And he's like, well, why doesn't he just get up? And he's like, well, it doesn't hurt him that bad. And that's the thing. Until we actually experience the pain of the situation that we're currently in, we don't have a motivation to move forward. It's the contrast of pain and pleasure. Even if we don't see the destination we're going to, just like with Abraham leaving his land, and he didn't know where he was going, right? But you go as far as you can go, and when you get there, you'll see further.
Facts. So I want to go around, and I want everybody to answer what they put down for this last question. If you can't really see it, I'll word it. The last question was, describe what you learned. It could be from the video, from questions, or from the discussion. Explain it in such a way as if you were telling someone else you were trying to help overcome their situation and depart from their circumstance, right? So explain it in such a way like you're trying to help somebody else. What advice would you give to somebody else based on what you've learned tonight from everything?
I would say just
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. You go first.
No, please.
I was gonna say just take the first step. I think a lot of times we're looking for the whole picture, and when we can't see the whole picture, what it's gonna look like during, and after, and you think of like building a house, right? So you see the floor plan and then the design, and then you pick, all the stuff out, right? But sometimes it's just taking the first step.
Mm-hmm.
And once you complete that step, then it's like, okay, well, what's the next step? So like doing it in small steps and small bites and small dosages. Because sometimes it's just not meant for us to know in the beginning the whole picture. Sometimes there's growth that has to happen in the process of those steps that we take. And sometimes if we're able to see the whole picture, we probably wouldn't even take the first step. because sometimes looking at the whole picture might actually scare us.
Yeah.
Versus taking one step, working through it, getting through it, seeing and feeling how tough we are that we were able to make it through that first step. Then we say, okay, well, let me take the next one. And then the next one, and then the next one. Next thing you know, you get through all of it and you go, oh my God, had I seen all of that from the get-go, I probably would have never done it. So I would say just take the first step. Take the first step. And even sometimes if you're too afraid to take the first step by yourself, find people, find someone that you connect with that wants to see you grow and succeed in whatever area of your life it is that you're trying to take steps in, be it your faith, be it your finances, be it your emotional and mental health, whatever it is, and see if they'd be willing to help go through those steps with you, to be like a support system, because we all need it. We all need support systems. So if you're too nervous to do it by yourself, find like like we have gym buddies, gym partners, a spotter, right? In the gym when you're bench pressing. So find someone that's willing to do the journey with you, but just take the first step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
advice.
I would say very similar along those lines is, first you have to know what you want. Maybe not in exact and precise detail, but you have to know, you have to have an idea where you're going, right? And I would put this in, with a GPS, right? Your GPS, you put in the destination you want to go, right? Your GPS has to know where you're going, and it has to know where you are, right? If it doesn't know where you are, it can't get you to where you're going, regardless of whether it knows where you're going. But you don't have to know every turn. You don't have to know the whole route. All you have to know is the next turn coming up, right? So along those lines, take the first step. First, establish where you are, and I think we did that tonight. I think that this questionnaire helped people establish where they're at and where they want to go. You know what I'm saying? And by doing that, it allows you to start on the path, and you don't necessarily have to know the exact route you're going to take. And you may not even take the most direct route. You might miss a turn and have to get rerouted. But as long as you continue in the right direction, you'll eventually get to the destination there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Con.
I would say, if I was talking to a person, first off, I would just be like, faith. One, you gotta have that faith. That first step is first and foremost faith. If you don't have faith, you're never gonna take that step. Like, if you don't have a relationship with the Most High, that step is gonna be hard to take. So faith in your relationship with the Most High. And then right after, I would just be like, know what you're struggling in, take accountability in what you're struggling in, and be open to be teachable, be open to learn, be open to take constructive criticism, or just be open to learn more. Like, be a sponge to learn about the Most High. And then again, like the Y team was saying, like discernment. Just I've learned that discernment and questioning the spirits, questioning some of the things that certain people say, watching what they say, watch closely. um because there's a lot of opinions out there that people will try to, because they know that you're in a certain faith, they would try to manipulate it to kind of being in your faith or your belief, and it's just like I know what you're doing. So definitely discernment, take accountability, and be teachable, and knowing yeah.
Absolutely.
I guess I'll first initially tell the person to, get out a piece of paper and pen and kind of write out their struggles, just like with this questionnaire, because when you write something down, it just makes it a little more powerful. Whether it's goals, you're more likely to achieve goals when you write it down. So first I'll have them just write down, with emotional growth, spiritual growth, just like this questionnaire, so that they can actually visually see, and they have to think about it. And then once they have that down, just tell them, see, look, you're not alone. First, make sure they understand that we all go through struggles, and because we're human, no one is perfect. We all go through this stuff, so you're not alone. You have a support group here, and then just give them advice to just get in trust in the Most High, and just ask Him what you should do as far as how you should conquer each one of these areas of growth. As far as, is it reading more? Is it fasting? Just go to Him and learn to listen to His voice, so then He can guide you on to how to structure this together, so you can actually become who you were meant to be, who He designed you for, His blueprint for your life. So that's pretty much the advice I would give.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Blueprint for your life, and writing down those goals, writing down the things that you struggle with, that makes it real, right? Because if you never write it down, you never acknowledge it. You can just ignore it, right? Throw it in the back of your mind, put it in that closet with all the rest of your skeletons. But when you write it down, that's that I'm acknowledging this. This is something that I need to deal with, right? I've manifested it from my life and my experience to the paper. And now that it's on the paper, it's real. It's really real. Now I can address that. So yes, absolutely. Anybody else? Sister Andy, Sister Kari. Anybody? Oh, Faith over fear. Anybody over there?
My
I almost
phone
thought y'all
died
my team.
in the midst. My phone died in the midst, so I kind of missed some of it. What was the question? What are we speaking on?
So it's the last question. And the last question says, describe what you learned. It could be from the video, or from the questions on this questionnaire, or from the discussion that, the dialogue that we had here on Shabbat Talk. Explain it in such a way as if you were telling someone else you were trying to help overcome their situation and depart from their circumstance. So what advice would you give someone that are dealing with something based on like the information that you got tonight?
Well, the advice I would give, sometimes you just have to take it one step at a time, because I feel a lot of the reason when people go through things, they get overwhelmed because they're trying to deal with too much at one time, and they're not realizing that God is not overwhelming us. He's just trying to show us different things and from different perspectives. And if we keep our faith and just allow Him to control the whole situation, or each situation, it'll get easier. It will get better. It's not to stress us out. And I know it's just human for us to be that way, but that's not how it's meant to be. It's just we get so caught up in the real world that we tend to forget that he's there for us. He's gone. He's always here. It's not in His nature for us to get overwhelmed. Is once you speak it to Him, let it go. allow him to take control, and everything will fall into place piece by piece. You don't have to dwell on it or try to focus on it or even try to fix it yourself, because that's when things go wrong.
Absolutely. Let go and depart. Depart from that situation. Absolutely.
It's like it says in I think it's 2 Peter. It says cast your anxieties on him because he cares for you, you know. And that's something that we always need to remember that we can do. You know, we can depart from those anxieties and leave them with him, you know, and he'll take those from us if we are willing to give them up, right? But if we want to hold on to him, he's not gonna force us to let go of them. But if we're willing to give them up, he will take them from us, right? So all of our anxieties we can cast on him and know that he cares for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Quickly to go off of what she said, I remember it's a sermon I heard in a Christian church, but it has stuck with me forever. And I tell my husband this all the time. I remember hearing it. You know, we hear the saying, God will never put more on you than you can bear. But that's a lie. It's a lie. And the way he described it in the sermon was, you know, when God presents you with something, you know, sometimes it's to test you. But he's not expecting you to go through it by yourself. He's not expecting you to handle it and carry it and figure it out on your own. The same way you go to the gym, when you get ready to bench press, I mean, unless you're not lifting enough, you're always going to have a spotter. Always. When you're trying to build muscle, you're always going to have a spotter. You have people who obviously will bench press what they know they can bench press, or they'll bench press a lighter weight. And at that point, they might not have a spotter. But anytime you're trying to actually build muscle and really get a good workout in, you're going to have a spotter. And that's who the Most High is to us. He's expecting us to come to him with whatever we have and say, hey, I can't carry this. I need you to carry it for me. I need you to help me. I need you to carry this burden. I need you to remove this burden from me because I can't do it. But too often times we try and carry it ourselves. And that's where the anxiety and, you know, depression and all these other burdensome things due to real life situations happen. Whereas if we would just turn to him and be like, come get this for me, because I can't do it. You know what I mean? That level of vulnerability, even spiritually, we need to have, because if you don't, what are you going to do? A lot of the things that we are presented in life, we can't carry. We can't do. So.
Great point. Definitely a great point. Anybody else for our share? Huh? Okay.
So
just
like I didn't mean to cut you off, sorry. But just like in the video when he was talking about you have to get up out of the chair and take a step forward, that probably would be what I would say to someone also. Because I feel like you remember in the Bible it says for when the children of Yashrael, when they're leaving from Egypt, and well, the word says God, I just my thought just went up my head. That the people will perish for lack of knowledge. So not for lack of knowledge, but for lack of taking a step forward, you know, like having faith to step forward that the person will just die right there in their situation, because without growth, without positive growth, keep moving forward, then I feel like we're stuck and you're like, you just die there. So I think it's important to take a step, to always keep learning, always keep moving. It's the same thing wherever we're stuck in a situation. It's important that we try to find a way out and to take a step, just like you said, forward to get out of that situation. Because if we stay there, we're literally going to just die there, because there's no growth, no nothing, and you're just stunted, no growth, no nothing. So take a step forward and just go out on faith, one step at a time, just like everybody said, or just like what was said earlier. It's about faith in the Most High, and just to know that if you take a step forward, he will take you the rest of the way, but you have to
Mm-hmm.
make that effort to take that step forward, and he will just guide you. Just have faith in him. But you cannot sit in your current situation, because you'll probably just die there. As I said, you have to grow in life, because
Yeah.
if you don't grow, then you're dead. It's literally, it's like not physically, but mentally, emotionally, you're dead then if you're not growing or going forward.
Absolutely.
You
I wholeheartedly agree. That was a bar right there. If you don't grow, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't grow, you're dead. Don't be stagnant. Don't be complacent. Don't be comfortable. Always seek more. Always seek better. Right? Always seek to improve. Like Professor S said today, one of his goals is to always get better. You don't got to make huge strides each and every day. You just, be a little bit better the next day than you were the day before. Right? My last one was do not wait until you have all of the information on what to do next or where to go next. Operate on faith and let the Most High guide your steps, because once you make the decision to depart from where you are, you can step into that blessing that has been waiting for you the whole time, and watch how your life dramatically changes for the better, right? Because we think about the outcome that we want, and we think of all these different scenarios to get that outcome, when the outcome is right in front of our face, and he just wants us to reach out and grasp it. But for whatever reason, whether we procrastinate, whether we're scared, we don't have the faith, whether we're in such a bad situation, or what we consider a bad situation, that we just shut down and don't want to move, right? Or we're unwilling to grow, like Sister Andy just stated, right? Or regardless of the situation, we don't move forward, we don't progress, we don't depart our situation. And like Todd Tribbett said in the video with the lepers, it wasn't that they was going to be healed when they got to the priest. It said as they went, that's when the miracle happened, right? So it was the miracle happened, the blessing came and was activated in the action of moving forward. And sometimes that's all we got to do. All we got to do. So I encourage each and every one of you guys to depart from whatever the current situation is in your life, whether it be something you're dealing with personally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically. I encourage you to seek the Most High, operate in faith. If you don't have the faith, then have faith in the fact that you'll get faith. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got the muscles in your mind and you're looking in the mirror, well, imagine yourself with muscles and operate as if you got the muscles. Don't let other people discourage you. Don't worry about what other people think of you or what they say about you, right? It's always about you and him, right? You and him together. That's it.
Well, it's I was reading in a book earlier this week that was saying that action breeds confidence, and inaction causes you to lose confidence, right? And we know from previous Shabbat talks that faith is an action, right? It's a verb. It's not a noun as it's used. Faith is an action, right? And if you do the action, then it's going to build your confidence and the confidence that you have in the Most High, right? But if you don't, if you procrastinate or don't take action because of fear or whatever the case is, inaction will completely destroy your confidence, right? And how can you gain confidence in the Most High if you don't allow Him to have the opportunity to work in your life? You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So as we wrap this up, first I want to say, if everybody could send up some prayers for Sister Gwen, for recovery, for healing, for the family, we really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. And then, I always, forget this, but if you like the content, as you see at the bottom, scrolling across, go ahead and like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want to thank everybody here on the panel for being here first and foremost, but for sharing, for joining in the discussion, for allowing yourselves to be transparent and be vulnerable. Right? We don't like a lot of times we don't like to, share those things. Right? It's hard to come face to face with some of these realities. Right? But in order for us to get better, in order for us to be able to depart where we are to go to somewhere else, we have to literally acknowledge it. Well, find it first, discovery. Remember I said discovery was first, but then acknowledge it, accept the responsibility, and then be able to move forward. So whether you guys think about it or not, you guys have taken huge strides into getting to that next step tonight. And so I want to thank each and every one of y'all on this panel. I love y'all. I'm glad that y'all came out here and we had a really good discussion. We're going on 4 hours, so the discussion is good when you're getting ready to hit 4 hours. We talked about a lot tonight. There's a lot of information. I know some of us has to go back and just watch this recording over again, maybe a second, even a third time, right, to get all the nuggets that was dropped. But I really hope this was edifying and that you guys find value in what we did tonight. And hopefully we have, more similar nights like this, right, where we pick a topic, we just have open discussion, maybe have a little activity or something like that, and finding just different ways to reach the people. Because you guys being vulnerable here, you don't realize that everybody who comes back and watches this and how it's going to affect them and the advice that you've given, right, in your last reflection question, that advice is probably going to be to someone that watches this video. It might have been somebody who watched it already, who's watching on live. We've had some people on here come on from Facebook. We've had some people on here come on from YouTube, and they've been in the chat commenting, joining in the discussion. I posted some of their comments, right? You never know who's going to be watching. You never know who you're going to be an evangelist to or, an example to. You know what I'm saying? And so the things that you guys shared tonight, the things that you guys admitted to having a shortcoming, or even the things that you admitted to having where you're doing really good in, right? All of those things are going to be tools for encouragement. So I want all of y'all to be encouraged. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on here, and I appreciate each and every one of you. With that being said, family, I hope the Most High bless you, keep you, campus angels around you, and give you guys shalom in the Messiah's name. Y'all be blessed and have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed rest of your week until we meet again next week on Shabbat Talk. Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. And it was awesome. Thank you so much.
Great topic.
Yeah.
All praises. All praises.
Praises. Whew. It's so cold on this mountain. Told Abba. Solemn prophet. Everything looks so small from up here.
Please crank responsibly.
It's lonely at the peak, had to work to get on top. I'm a student of the craft, work for everything I got. Elevating my mentality, still ain't in my prime. But the ones who reach the top don't appreciate the climb. I bled for this path as I stand on the pinnacle, delivering the scriptures in a way that's very lyrical. Bars on the summit, I'm so high above the ground. Cause when you at the top, it's nothing to do but look down. This rap shit my kingdom, that's why I'm a monument. Saying I'm the best, it's almost not a compliment. Who your favorite artist? They